Shadows gather where the truth once stood. A kingdom of confusion carved out of falsehood. Body walks through the ruins like a prophet reborn. A voice wants in fire, a mind on this dawn. The chaos watches with an all-seeing glare. Guardian of reason in a world unaware. When the overlord stalls at the edge of the frame, the faithful rise up, they already know his name. I'm here to resurrect the second coming of coming sin. I come to wake the sleeping, the church will bring the fed. Overalls, no illusions, no hollow in compare. He's here to resurrect the second coming of common sense. Thinking truth from the wreckage, raising dawn from the dead. Every word is a weapon, shot and declare. Exposing every shadow we pretend not to fear. And the overlord rises with the suffering command. A beast of judgment, the mortal chemist dead. On his growl rings through the silence of the night. The loyal understand, Trigger keeps the battle is right. I'm here to resurrect the second coming of common sense. I'm making the chaos of found to impotence. It's all against the darkness, rising defense. He's here to resurrect the second coming of common sense. Now you're head to the beast that controls the doors. It's in yellow reason with the ball crushing block. If his ball runs empty, the shadows will consume. The world cracks open, usher it up. So with the command, don't deploy a call. If you know what's good, feed Morty the overlord.
All right, welcome back to the party, everybody. This is Morty, and I am your host, Lutch, aka the Indian Jesus, here to resurrect the second coming of common sense. Everybody hit that like and subscribe. You know I would do it for you, and let's party. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Starting a little bit early. I've got an 8 a.m. client tomorrow, all right? And I don't like that one bit. I don't like it one bit. So, obviously we got some good stuff for you. And it's actually interesting because a lot of people have been talking about this Warren Smith guy. And he, from my perspective, it seemed like he kind of came out of nowhere. But he, he has lore, he has history. And he was on the Triggernometry Podcast. So I was like, let's check that out. He's usually, doing really good reaction type videos of little clips. And I appreciate that he'll reach back in time and, cover something from 5 years ago or something. And he's not just like jumping on whatever is brand new. That being said, I kind of feel like some of his commentary itself is a little bit basic in the sense that I feel like I click on his video, I see the clip that I want to see, and then he kind of just says something really basic. But we will get into it. Who do we got? We got Blake. Welcome to the party. And we got Seth. What up, dog? The ceiling. Welcome. Get the chat up there for ya. And let's dive in. As always, guys, if you cannot hear the video, please do let me know.
Warren Smith, welcome to Triggernometry.
Thank you for having me.
Great to have you on, man. Been enjoying a lot of your content. Before we get into opinions and debate and all that kind of stuff, tell everybody your story, because your story is very interesting.
Oh.
You're surprised by this fact.
Yeah, so I was teaching.
Right, so I'm not the only one that's wondering. All right.
Media, content creation, and a piece of content went viral, opened a door for YouTube. I was like, oh, see how far this will go. This is interesting. Oh, I knew there was a risk, but it didn't outweigh the cost of not trying,
real
if
people.
that makes sense. Caught up kind of in a way that I thought there was an 80% chance that the school, kind of skipped over this video, went viral, or we said that. I knew they weren't happy with that. I thought there was like an 80% chance they just won't renew my contract. They did a slightly different move, got rid of me quickly, midday, kind of threw me into this weird limbo where now I have to focus on this. I was under 50,000 subscribers, wasn't financially viable. Scary time, worked out. Here we are.
So what was the...
We're going to go. This is going to be a 1-2-5-er.
What was the school and what was the video?
So I don't want to dox the school because it would be unnecessary.
I mean, it would take a Google, I imagine.
Oh,
No?
people have tried. Oh,
Okay.
yeah, they don't want it.
So nobody knows which college you were teaching at?
This was a high school.
High school. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
right. So you asked me which schools, what was the other part of the question?
What was the video?
Oh, the video was with a student making the claim that J.K. Rowling, asking me, how have your views on Harry Potter changed given J.K. Rowling's bigoted opinions?
Okay.
There's a presupposition in there. All right, let's just run
Presupposition being who said my mind was changed at all.
through that. And he ended up changing his mind, realizing he didn't have the evidence necessary for the claim. That was all it was. I was surprised that anyone watched it, to be honest.
Well, it was a great video
They're Europeans. That's why they look that way.
because it was actually a very good example of someone applying critical thinking to an issue in good faith. And you could just watch through the logical fallacies that the person had in their head to ask the question in that way. And you kind of de-radicalized almost them in that moment. So why would that be such a controversial?
Shout out to Dick Johnson. Yes, I am a little bit early. I do have an 8 a.m. client that is an hour away. I typically do not function well that early in the morning, so starting a little bit early, gonna end a little bit early. I mean, unless you guys are really fucking throwing bank, we'll keep partying. But yeah, I'm struggling. This week I've not gotten a lot of sleep, so I gotta cut it short somewhere. Otherwise, I will burn the fuck out. But welcome to the party.
Question in that way, and you kind of de-radicalized almost them in that moment. So why would that be such a controversial thing?
Well, there were many teachers not happy about it because they disagree on J.K. Rowling. And word would get to me. They don't say these things to your face, and nonverbal communication is extremely important in navigating these day-to-day games that occur. But I was working with another teacher, a music teacher, who had been collaborating with me on YouTube in the past already. We were fascinated by the technology, the medium, and he would tell me, man, they're not happy. They're looking for, just be careful. They're looking for any reason. And in the meantime, he and I had set up a little studio space that's still that bookshelf that I record to this day. Every Friday, he would come over and he would be the voice off the camera. And he had
Shout out to Rowdy Gowdy. Welcome. Said, hope your day is sunny. It's actually a little overcast today, but I'm okay with that because, then the sunlight doesn't come in and wake me up. Welcome. Yeah, not a morning person. So have you guys seen the video that they're talking about with this guy, Warren Smith, talking to one of his students about J.K. Rowling? Put a 1 in the chat if you have not seen that video.
Views from Romania. And so it would make for really good conversations. And there was something interesting about not having the person on camera because I think it allowed the viewer to project themselves in a way. But anyways, so why would they not be happy? Also, just the response, I think, is primarily because at first, so the video goes viral. The next day, Piers Morgan wants to have me on for like a 15-minute quick thing. And
shout out to Liberty Plus TV. Yeah, I don't know how the fuck y'all survive with like 3-4 hours of sleep. Like I don't know how you do it. I will never act like I'm somebody who is like, doing so much work throughout the day. Like I work hard when I'm working, but like I need to sleep. Full stop. So we got a couple people who haven't seen the origin video. So it's a short one we got.
So
here.
these guys want to talk.
So this is where he started 2 years ago. 2 years ago.
About J.K. Rowling? Is that so? What's going on with that? What do you want to know?
She's had a pretty controversial past. I just want to know, like, what are your thoughts on it? And, like, do you still like her work despite her bigoted opinions?
So let's get specific, though. Let's define bigoted opinions. What opinions are bigoted? We're going to treat this as a thought experiment. I'm not going to say what's right or wrong or what way to think. The whole point is to learn how to think, not what to think.
Yeah.
So when you
Yup. If I can get a nap in, oh man, even like a 40-minute nap, 40 minutes and I am recharged. But yeah, I need that sleep. One situation we die with more. We die with more sleep. Oh, meaning like being vulnerable because you're asleep. Yep. Well, I guess I would have not survived before civilization. What are you gonna do?
this is a thought experiment. I'm not going to say what's right or wrong or what way to think. The whole point is to learn how to think, not what to think.
Yeah.
So when you say bigot, you're starting with the conclusion that given her bigoted opinions.
Yeah.
So first, let's start with does she have
for
bigoted opinions? So when you say bigoted opinions,
She has had a history of being extremely transphobic, I've heard.
hey, you've heard. So what? Can you give me an example?
If you look at her Twitter, I think you could see a few things. If you want, I could try and find
See
something.
if you can find one.
So, one of these tweets that she came out with in 2019, she said, "Dress however you please, call yourself whatever you like, sleep with any consenting adult who will have you live your best life in peace and security, but force women out of their jobs for stating that sex is real."
Base J.K. Rowling. Shout out to Dirk Diggler. Welcome to the party. Very good to see ya. So you have to understand your REM cycles. So if you're going to sleep more than like that 45 minutes, then you got to have the 2 hours. Otherwise, you only sleep for the 40 minutes because then the cycle ends. Your REM cycle is about 20 minutes. So you want to get, I mean, that's why, a 20-minute nap will do great, but 40 minutes, fantastic. But if you're planning a nap, plan it on the 20-minute marks. So like even if even if it's not gonna be like, all right, I'm waking up at 1 or 9 or whatever the fuck you want to say, just be like, okay, I've got 2 hours, and so I'm gonna sleep for I don't know, do the fucking math, whatever 20 minutes of that in that 2 hours. Go from there. Yeah, go from there. Dirk said, "Cool, Vic. Checked out your debate with Tariak after the stream last night. Oh boy, I guess we're gonna have to go through that." Yeah, we'll check that out, and shout out to Cool Vic. All right, so diving back in here.
But force women out of their jobs for stating that sex is real.
So you find that bigoted? What do you find about
It was deemed transphobic.
Deemed.
I myself,
Do you find that transphobic yourself?
I don't really have an opinion on it, but I'm just going with what a lot of other people have said.
I don't really know what to think about it. I'm just going along with a lot of other people said. This is the school system.
So let's pause it. Let's not go with what other people are saying. Let's try and learn how to critically think. So let's analyze the tweet ourselves. So that statement, do you see anything problematic? Disregarding other people's opinions.
She did try and pin some things on a specific group of people.
Shout out to Wicked Wally. Welcome to the party. And a shout out to Tariak. Yeah, we'll go over that whole debate. I don't think I was of the opinion that he prompt cucked himself in saying that he's the greatest when he's not done yet. And so I was going in on that, and he did a very good job of navigating that. But I still believe that my position is correct. But, debate isn't about being right. It's about using the arguments, right? Yeah, I used to be like that, and now I don't drink coffee because it was doing the opposite, where I'm just like surviving in this constant state of like just jittery and never sleepy, or rather never sleeping, just always sleepy and jittery. It was horrible. But if you're just joining us, we are going back to the podcast that Warren Smith did, but this is his origin story. Kid's asking about does he change his opinion based on what J.K. Rowling was saying? And this was 2 years ago.
Things on a specific group of people.
Where does she do that? Can you read that?
But force women out of their jobs for stating that sex is real.
So when I hear that, I'm interpreting that as meaning if a woman says that, saying that there's a difference between men and female and then being attacked as transphobic, I think that's what she's saying by attacking someone for stating that sex is real.
That is exactly what she's saying.
Is that transphobic to you?
So, to me, no. Stating that sex is real is not transphobic. It's just a fact of life. It exists.
There you go.
So is there anything you disagree with in that tweet?
In that tweet, I can't really see anything that I myself disagree with, but I can see why some people would think, oh, this is offensive. We can't have that here or something. Because
Sure.
There's an apology tweet.
Let's read that. What did she say there? I haven't read that.
I respect
Is it
every
though?
trans person's right to live
Is it though?
any way that feels authentic and comfortable to them. I'd march with you if you were discriminated against on the basis of being trans. At the same time, my life has been shaped by being female. I do not believe it is hateful to say so.
You see anything problematic there?
She's apologizing, so no, not really. If I could read it again.
It sounds like a very similar statement as what she was just saying. She's basically saying, like, I have nothing, to me, this is what I interpret it as. I have
Nothing to
against someone being
apologize
trans.
for. Exactly.
Your life, but you just don't get to impose on you can live how you want, I can live how I want.
Yeah.
And let's all,
Exactly.
So I guess now that we're looking at it like, oh, there's not much difference between me or her. Do you think it's fair that that she's being attacked by a large group of people and people are calling her, like you said at the beginning of this conversation, you said, given the fact that J.K. Rowling is transphobic, how do you feel about Harry Potter? Now, retroactively looking at that statement, do you think that was the best way to phrase?
No, I feel like an idiot now.
That's why we do this, to learn how to think.
There's been so in my class specifically, it's like in our class, there's been quite a few people in there who have been saying like, oh, she's transphobic. I've not until today, I haven't really thought about it because I just believe there's 5 people saying it. It must be correct.
True.
Yeah.
That's interesting. That was great.
And that's the name of the game. That's the name of the game. You'd be talking about hate maxing, not master hating. There you go. There we go. Dilly. Keeping up with the kids. There you go. But I'm looking at the poll, and I want him to get through, because of the fact that we just watched that. I want him to get through the basic aspect of his story, and then we're gonna jump over to watch that video. And let's ride on. So yeah, he's saying he put that video out.
So why would they not be happy? Also, just the response, I think, is primarily because at first, so the video goes viral. The next day, Piers Morgan wants to have me on for like a 15-minute quick thing. And I remember like, man, I'm going to have to run this through the chain of command with the school. They're going to say no. So I just did it. And I came in the next day. People, they already knew, because I remember the day before Piers Morgan came in, and I wasn't going to say anything. Maybe they won't notice. Everybody knew because Elon had tweeted it out. And so they had a meeting after school. And like, yeah, so this happened with Warren. He didn't break any rules. He's not in trouble. So then I do the Piers Morgan thing. And then I come into school and they're like, all right, we've got to meet with the lawyers, the head honcho, the person in charge of the school, who's really just this business person, never at the school. We see her maybe once or twice a year. The principal was a nice guy. He was the one like, hey, this is crazy. This is like, and he was a little bit like, look, man, if you're going to do Piers Morgan, you got to run up the chain of command. And I was like, okay. And he was like, but honestly, I would have done the same thing. So he was reasonable in that sense, but this went above his head. So I meet with the lawyers and they're on conference call. Well, you didn't break any rules. They literally said, congratulations. You're probably going to want to keep making things. You seem to enjoy it. I hope you don't make any mistakes. That was their language.
So he really did come out of nowhere. He really did have one viral video, and then the next day was on Piers Morgan. So I was always wondering, like, has he been doing a lot of this stuff? And he wasn't. And I mean, like, no shade or anything, but I'm just saying, now I understand.
It's kind of mafioso, isn't it? There's aspects of this that are eerily, like, we can get into it if you want, but it's very strange that people like, you're making this up. It's crazy.
So let's talk about that. Like, I hope you don't make any mistakes, be a shame.
Yeah, that's what it was. Yeah.
So let's talk about that aspect of it.
In what way?
Well, you were saying there's some stuff that you could share.
Yeah.
That people will
Oh,
believe.
that was so after I was thinking about this incident where the teacher that I've been collaborating with, he was like my best friend at school.
Yeah.
Got along really well because our content, the subject matter was very similar. We shared interests, camera technology, both fascinated with it. And we'd be making all these promotional videos for the school to go online. So
Shout out to Avery. Welcome to the party. Very good to see you, sir.
before I get fired, and he's warning me about all this stuff, and I get fired, and it's like something had switched, and I anticipated this as well. I knew that they were going to sit him down, like, you can't keep doing this with more. And I'm like, he's dead to us. It was like I was deleted. Like, it was very like, you don't exist. It's very strange. No contact. But all of he helped me set up the space. So a lot of his equipment's in that space. And so a week goes by. Finally, he texts me. He texted me the day after. He's like, I heard the news, because I was like escorted out.
Really?
Yeah. And so I had no contact. I couldn't say goodbye to anybody. It was.
Wait, well, hold on.
Nope. Shout out to Avery with the $2 making you holla. Thank you. So very, very much, sir. And feed the puppy. We will remember every donation comes with a treat for the Overlord. Avery getting us started. And don't forget, guys, we implemented a weekly goal. I think a monthly goal. I really enjoyed watching Star Wars with you guys last night, and I want to do that more often. I do need to set up more incentives. So instead of waiting the whole month to see if we hit that, then every week that we hit the goal, we do a new movie night, and you guys will get to pick of all the movies that I never seen. Never seen Terminator. Never seen. I mean, pretty much anything before the early '90s. I have not seen. Immigrant parents, they didn't have that stuff to pass down, and none of my cousins or anything around there. So I just missed it. Shout out again. Of course, that makes you the new sponsor of the stream. Very, very, very much appreciated. And shout out to everybody who hit the like on the super chat. We want to appreciate the people who are doing so. Thank you. And so, yeah, that's what I'm saying. We could we can make a thing out of it. And I'm down every week. Thank you. 07's just like, salute. All right, thank you, sir. Let's dive right back in. But just to tie a bow on what we're doing here is the theme is, you just saw the clip of him talking to his student in a way that had the student thinking outside of the way that just like, oh, I'm going to go along with everybody else. That is good. That is what we want from our teachers. And they fired him. This is going to be a pattern. Play, what the fuck?
Maybe I'm lost in the timeline. You do this video about J.K. Rowling with a student.
Yeah.
They say, don't make any mistakes.
Right.
Did you then make a mistake?
Yeah.
What was your mistake?
I did the same thing again with a different student, but I took more. So teaching media, I have a list of who has the clearances, who has signed the releases, the parents. And we had another conversation like, oh, this one's kind of interesting. This might work. We had been making the content in my house because we were like, man, we don't want any more heat with this school. So let's just do it all at the house. But this one exchange, I was like, this is interesting. It was about J.K. Rowling, a student claiming she was racist. And
I don't know if he specifically articulates this, but the underlying theme here is that social media is where kids learn things. Clearly, they're not learning in school. And so the balance of, oh, well, we don't want you putting our stuff on the internet. Well, that's the only place these kids are paying attention.
Knew the audience, this is what the audience wanted, and I had the clearances, and so I shared it on X, I think, but I was like, the lighting was atrocious, and so I ended up deleting it. The school took that as evidence that I knew I was doing something wrong, and I was trying to cover my tracks. That was the lawyer speak that came at me later, but they sat on that for like 3 weeks, hoping I would do it again. I found out later, like, they could have told me, hey, this is what we're talking about, like, make these adjustments, but they were waiting for something to use. It was clearly a tactical. So that would be the mistake. Even I was like, so when they pulled me in the office.
So they're showing, again, they're seeing someone who is engaging these students and bringing learning, education outside of the classroom. And this is their response.
I was like, did you talk to the student? Did you talk to his parents? I did more than I've ever done. Like the steps, like, yeah, there's this new step though. You have to ask so-and-so and I had 2 sets of supervising principals because it's divided into, well, you didn't check with this person. So you're gone. And they made it very clear, like, you can either accept it now that we want to get rid of you for YouTube, because it's not just, and I get that in a way. It's like, I get that.
Why is my pause button not working? Kids should be brought up old school, and the internet should be strictly 18 plus. I think that toothpaste is out of the tube. If that is how we started, then potentially we could have done that. But without having any idea how vast the internet would be, I don't know how you turn that back. There's so much stuff that young kids use for real life things, whether it's, school or just government stuff. I mean, I guess that's more to do with the parents anyway, but it's already so ingrained in society that I don't know how you do that. So we're overfunded for not promoting essential labor. Bingo. Yep.
Or we can conduct an investigation and get back to you in 3 days. Like, you haven't talked to the parents or the student even that you're worried about? Like, the student doesn't care. Like, okay, let's wait. And then all that means, and anyone listening to this, if you find yourself in a similar situation, force them into admitting what they're doing. Be like, okay, you're firing me now then. I'm not giving you 3 days, because what they're going to do.
And get it in writing.
Is try and go through everything and find something better, and then point to that. So anyways, a week goes by. I recorded a video about it just to process my thoughts. It was really psychologically, it was one of the most difficult periods I've ever been through. Like, I came home that day and was just throwing up the whole day. I slept on the bathroom floor. And the next day I sat down and recorded something, waited. I didn't post it for like a week or two, and then I did. And J.K. Rowling reached out, which was a significant gesture for me. It meant a lot. Anyway, so a week goes by. He needs to get his equipment.
Jealous of that kind of attention.
He comes over to the house, but he's talking completely different. And he's like, you knew you weren't supposed to do that. I was like, dude, I talked to you about all of these things. Like, you told me they were trying to. He was like, he was trying to, like, as though it was like I couldn't recognize him. He was like trying to insinuate that I had calculated this to purposely be fired. And it was like he was trying to get me on tape or something.
Yeah, I was going to say, it sounds like he was wearing a wire.
And this is the direction we could be moving in if they weren't behaving like this.
That's what I meant by the mafioso thing. But if I try and I've only told the story once. If I tell it, people are like, this sounds like you're just making up a mob movie, but this is true. Like, and he got his equipment out there, and didn't say a word, which is another indicator that something was strange, because he wasn't saying anything other than these things. And we went outside and he had a cigarette. We both knew this was the last time we were going to talk to, and we were like best friends.
Wow.
Yeah. And I was like,
this is how they treat teachers. And so when you do that, then this is the response. So I asked you guys in the poll if you'd seen these videos. There's two of them going around where there is at a prep high school, prep charter Huskies, wherever the fuck that is, and they're just asked to read a basic sentence. I mean, not basic, but for a high school should not be difficult, and none of them can fucking read.
She wore a suit.
It says she wore a silhouette of clothes that were extraordinary but somewhat gauche.
Clothes that were. Who's this for? Extraordinary but somewhat Gertrude?
No, explain what that means.
I don't know.
So that was a clip that went viral on TikTok.com, where a student at a Philadelphia school decided that he was going to present his fellow classmates with a card, instructing them to read it, and each and every one of these students managed to fail miserably in that particular task. And for those of you who are unaware, for those of you who are educated in Philadelphia's education system, the sentence is supposed to read as follows.
Shout out to 50. Welcome to the party. And yes, don't believe everything you see on the internet. But when you see it from the internet and TikTok and the news and other people, then a little bit more legit. And of course, we know for a fact that the literacy levels in America are horrific. So this one's legit. Unfortunately, I wish it wasn't legit, but this is legit. Yeah, so that's the card. So she wore a silhouette of clothes that were extraordinary, but somewhat gauche.
She wore a silhouette of clothes that was extraordinary, but somewhat gauche. Now, it's one thing to produce a viral video that gets a lot of attention on the internet.com. It's another thing to expose the failed education system in one of America's major urban centers. However, this particular student had actually released a part 2. He had also done this with their staff, which, by the way, we will go over in just a little bit. But instead of being able to release a part 3 of this type of video, he's actually stopped posting this particular content onto his TikTok page, onto his Instagram page, because he's afraid that he will suffer consequences for it from the school that are now threatening to take away his prom and potentially expel him for showing the fact that the students at this particular charter school cannot read. So,
I mean, this is exactly the Nick Shirley effect. This is exactly the Nick Shirley effect. The people showing the issue are getting in trouble, not the people causing the issue. And again, I'm not blaming the kids. If you have one kid that's stupid, then, you know, you weren't paying attention, whatever. But as you'll see, it's all of them.
the school saw this apocalyptic disaster, this inability to read by all these different various students, and they thought to themselves, the real problem here wasn't that the students can't read, and by the way, these are high school level students. It wasn't that they don't even understand nor comprehend the sentence and can't rephrase it in their own words, you know, something you would expect a first grader to be able to do. It was actually the fact that this guy posted the video on the internet.com, and this is what we're going to talk about today. But before we do, I want to thank everybody who supports this channel via actualjusticewarrior.com/join.
Oh, give me the money. Give me the money. Okay.
Love it.
She wore a sahalat of clothes that were extraordinary, whatever, bro, but somewhat pooch.
What does that mean?
She wore a lot. Wait, she wore. Bro, I don't know, bro. Can you take the card back, please?
So first of all,
can you take the card back, please? Didn't he have the permission on paper? I don't. That was Warren that said that about his video. I don't know if this guy, had any specific thing, but I think they don't necessarily they don't treat cell phones in schools the same way that like when we were younger. It's just a thing. You're just allowed to have them now. Why? Because they're doing to Warren what they're doing to every other good teacher, and all the bad teachers are in school, as we will see. Oh, come on. I'm frozen. There we go.
To my friend Lisa for sending me over this video and telling me what the real story is behind the story, which, by the way, is also featured in this New York Post article. And for those of you who are unaware of what this school is,
oh, 50, is that good enough for you?
Is also featured in this New York.
High school student exposes classmates' abysmal reading skills as they struggle with words like silhouette and extraordinary. Just saying.
Post article. And for those of you who are unaware of what this school is, for those of you who are picking a high school for your students that are of age, the one that you definitely want to avoid, the one that this was filmed at, is Philadelphia's Preparatory Charter School of Mathematics, Science, Technology, and Careers. Now, while all of that sounds very fancy, and it sounds like they're preparing the next generation to sweep the nation and do technology and STEM and whatnot, apparently, since reading is not included in there, they don't actually teach that at this particular school. And again, it is not just the one student that I showed in the open or the clip that I showed you just now. It's each and every student in this particular video. And yeah, it's absolutely embarrassing.
She wore she wore a silhouette of clothes that were, bitch, I don't know that word. I don't even know how to read. I don't know why I do.
So I guess I give
if one of you can explain specifically why you think that the literacy rates themselves have gone down. We're going to talk about it, but the main reason, I think it was like 6 or 7 in the first video, and then same in the second video, and he did one with the teachers before that. So I mean, it's enough to be worried. It's enough to be worried. And again, if this was in a vacuum and we had not heard anything ever about reading levels, then I would be a bit more skeptical. But like, this is a known thing. This is one of the things I love about TikTok, is that I get a lot of this type of content that is not necessarily down the middle what I would click on to see. And so I get a lot of teachers complaining about this exact thing. This is just the most recent thing that's blown up, but this is a very common type of video that teachers will make and say these kids literally do not know how to read. I will put May 1st is the next day on the board, and they'll be able to say the words. And then when I ask them what tomorrow is, they have no idea. I get it. I get it that you're skeptical. I'm not saying don't be skeptical. I'm just saying in this case, this has been adjudicated. This is a legitimate issue. Shout out to Lil Toes. Welcome. Hold on. I'm frozen. There we go. Seth said lack of parental oversight. And again, yes. However, there is an expectation that if your student is, if you have a kid and they're doing well as a student and they're getting high grades, then you're not going to assume that they can't fucking read. And that's the problem, that these teachers are not dinging these kids' grades because they can't read. They're just pushing them along. And the screens are a big thing, but I'd say what does Liberty say? The main reason is because all government services are unsustainable in the government. Yeah. But specifically here, they switched to phonics. Remember, hooked on phonics, where you sound out words. They don't do that. They teach you not to do that anymore. They say if you don't understand a word, skip it and use context clues. I mean, private school is good too, but this is, it's everywhere. It's everywhere, and this is the zeitgeist of how school is. It's not just these kids. It's not just this school. It's not just Warren Smith being a good teacher. That's being put. It's a systemic problem. The systemic systems. Yeah, right.
A little bit of credit to this girl right here for at least being able to get the word silhouette out. And for those of you who are unaware, a silhouette is produced when you're backlit and essentially you're in shadow in front. That's all people see. They're used in a lot of different movies and television for a dramatic effect. But the thing that I really want to take away points for, and I think everybody should take away points for, is the fact that that girl bailed out of the word extraordinary, which, by the way, I would even accept as a pronunciation extraordinary, because, it's just like the meaning. It's a combination of the words. It's a compound word. I don't know if that's even a phrase or whatever in the English language, because I went to public school as well. But yeah, this is embarrassing. And she completely bails out. And it's after a series of kids bail out and they say things like, oh, you need to take back the card, because they're embarrassed by their inability to read. Or at least I would hope they're embarrassed and they're using humor and laughing about it as a joke, because on the surface, it appears that they think it's funny.
I think that's what's going on, that they're legitimately embarrassed. And again, I think there is an aspect on the kid, but if the kid is being rewarded with good grades and passing in, passing on to the next class and so on and so forth, then it's not on them.
That they can't read, that they're in high school.
This is like when I go, and for those of you who know, I'm a dog trainer, and so I have a new client, and people have called me because they're angry that their dog is doing normal dog things. Like, yes, jumping up and biting and barking and all those things are very annoying. But people expect their dogs to already know what they want because they want it. And so you can't just expect these kids to know because we want them to know, because they passed the class. They have to show that they actually know it, because you get to high school and you can't fucking read.
Potentially on their way to graduating at a charter school for mathematics and science, and they can't read a basic sentence. And by the way,
not the guy taking the video. Remember, he might not graduate.
Remember, the school administrators, the people in charge of these students, the people who are trying to educate the next generation, they're mad at the guy who filmed this video, who exposed this about the school, not the actual students who can't read, nor the teachers who are not helping them be able to read and continuously pass them along.
The Nick Shirley effect. The Nick Shirley effect. Tell me I'm wrong.
For a silhouette of clues that were extraordinary but somewhat gauche.
All right, now what does that mean?
All right, I'll take that. Gosh. Now I can't say it because you say. But gauche is a niche word. That's not necessarily something like that's a vocab word for sure. But see, exactly. We found one. Got him. So if you're mad about that, you must be furious about the Leering Center if you hate fraud that much, right? But fine. Even if you don't know the word gauche, how often are you using that?
Were extraordinary, but somewhat gauche.
All right, now what does that mean?
I have no idea. Like his moves is nice or something like that.
I mean, guys, this is bad. This is brutal. There's a reason this got over 1 million views on TikTok and multiple millions of views on other platforms. And it should be a national embarrassment that, again, a charter school, which, by the way, they put into place to try to outperform the public schools, is producing students like this. Now, of course, it's a charter high school. We don't know where these kids went K through 12 before they got to high school. We don't know how bad Philadelphia's education system screwed them up at an early age.
It's Philadelphia.
What we do know from looking at other states is that if you don't get kids into reading early, if you don't teach them...
Oh, so adults are stupid, so let's just make the kids stupid too.
What?
How is this a relevant thing at all to say? Especially when I just gave the caveat that most people might not know Gauche. I don't think you're understanding what we're doing here. We're showing that these kids, even if they can say the words, they are reading things and not comprehending, which is a necessary part of literacy.
Methods, then they will struggle with reading for years and years to come. This is something that the state of Mississippi focused on. We did an entire video on that, how they went back to a phonics-based curriculum, which, by the way, is actually something that the method Hooked on Phonics, if you're old enough to remember that, actually adopts to teach children how to read. But that was thrown out in the 90s in favor of this, like...
What data is going to show you that those kids can read? What data is going to show you that those kids actually can read? Nothing. Exactly.
Or woke version of teaching kids to read, where you try to meet them where they're at. And guess what? The consequences of that are what you're seeing right here. Now, of course, this guy did another video. The kids performed a little bit better in said other video. I want to cut to that. However, I do want to point out that the reading comprehension is still terrible. So even the kids that managed to...
They're not retarded. They're just untrained.
...pronounce the words in the other card that he gave them were awful.
Read the insert.
What the f does that say? Why am I reading this? No, I'm not reading this. This is a whole bunch of bullshit.
So to answer this girl's...
And trying to just sight read the whole thing. Which words do I recognize? Which ideas can I put towards those? I don't recognize any of these, so fuck it. I'm out.
Question on what the F does this say, the card actually reads as follows. The colonel asked the choir to accommodate the governor's schedule. Again, not difficult. The handwriting is not messy at all whatsoever. These are basic words that you would expect to be in the vocabulary of an English-speaking person.
Yeah, we understand nobody involved in public schools has any incentive to make kids competent. And so then when we see someone like a Warren Smith who actually does care, despite the lack of incentives, what do? Walk him out of the fucking school like a criminal. And we wonder why it's something like 30% of adults are literate beyond an 8th grade level.
And yet they're struggling. They're actually having difficulty right off the rip from this particular card.
The colonel asked the choir to accommodate the governor's schedule.
Oh, we got another winner! Put a one in the chat if you think he has no idea what the fuck he just said. And indeed, profit equals incentive equals why the fuck are we doing anything that we're doing? So he read it. The colonel asked the choir to accommodate the governor's schedule. Nobody thinks he's okay. Dick doesn't have faith. Dick doesn't have faith. I have a little bit of faith. Let's see. Maybe he can piece it together.
So this kid actually nails it. So I'm sure many of you out there in the audience are thinking to yourself, okay, we're all good. This kid can read this particular sentence. Again, I will point out that this sentence significantly easier than the first one, but then he asked them the follow-up question, which is rephrase in your own words, which shows reading comprehension. And even this kid that can actually read the sentence is having struggles with it.
What does that mean?
But he's asking the choir to accommodate to the governor's schedule, right?
In your own words.
There's a governor's schedule, and so the colonel is asking the choir to accommodate to it.
So this is what happens when they do know enough of the words to be able to put together the sentence and read the words that are on the page. There's no connection to reality. It's just the sight of that word. That word is that, and then the next word is that. There's no putting it together as an idea, as a sentence. It's insane. Shout out to Colby. Welcome to the party. So my sister teaches elementary. She taught 4th grade at a bad school and kids couldn't read. Now she's 1st grade at a better school and 1st graders can read. The culture to want to learn matters. Bingo. Yep, and we were talking before about Warren Smith, and I'm going to keep harping on the fact that he is a perfect representation of the type of problem with the incentives of the education system. They don't care. They don't care. Like Liberty said, they don't care about making kids confident. They care about keeping their government jobs.
In your own words.
I don't know, bro.
I don't know what the school is.
Now, again, this is not difficult. They're like, the colonel is asking the choir to accommodate the governor's schedule. So,
and Dick was right. Dick was right. No idea what the fuck he just said.
what this means is that the colonel wants the choir, the singing group of people, to actually take the governor's schedule into account, maybe adjust what they're going to do around the governor's schedule, because this is what accommodating somebody's schedule actually means. Now, again, for many of these Philadelphia students, they are likely never going to have a schedule because many of them probably don't plan on working a job that actually makes any sense or any job at all whatsoever. But yeah, this is a basic reading comprehension tactic where you ask somebody to read a sentence. They failed miserably in the first video, and then you want them to, explain what the sentence means. Again, maybe it's a little tricky.
Yep.
There's a lot of C words in here. Colonel, choir, accommodate, which has C's after the A. Pretty hard. Schedule, which could sound like it has a C in it. Who knows what these kids know?
The colonel asked the choir to accommodate the governor's schedule.
All right, what does that mean?
Right? They asked the people to sing for the governor's schedule. I don't know what this means.
I mean, seriously, people, this is the modern education system that you are paying thousands of dollars for per pupil. And I was debating what.
Even the lead paint thing was going out of vogue when I was in school. But, Gen X learned how to fucking read. Boomers learned how to read. We didn't know about any asbestos and all that shit. How come we can all read and they can't? It's not about them being retarded. It's about them being improperly taught. Shout out to DK Livians over on Rumble. Welcome. Said it's Colonel, not Colonel. Indeed. That's the point here, that these kids don't know how to fucking read. Welcome.
Education system that you are paying thousands of dollars for per pupil. And I was debating whether or not this girl had marker drawn on her face or if that was actually a horrific tattoo. I'm gonna go with marker, not because I'm 100% convinced that it's marker, but because these are high school students. I hope they're not getting tattoos. And
what do you think? Tattoo or just marker? I don't know. It looks like a tattoo to me. Bit of both. Maybe we'll see.
I hope if they did get a tattoo, it would be not the worst one ever, like what's on this girl's face right here. But
yeah, right. Like that was all around the lead paint, asbestos, all these other kind of things, and we learned how to read. Even the dumb ones knew how to fucking read. Like, you might not read well today, Junior, but that is a completely different level than where we're at.
Also want to point out that this girl seems to believe.
Hey, shout out to Glow and Dark. Welcome to the party. Very good to see you. They was Kangs and she. Colby said, I don't think it's as much about them not being taught well. It is. I think it's a culture where being smart isn't valued. Lots of good teachers, but the kids don't try. And so the second part, you're definitely right. But the what's the word? Not curriculum, but the modalities that they use shift away. They did the same thing in math. You remember the fucking weird box thing that they had for addition, where you couldn't just add like 12 plus 15 and just know that it's 27. You had to put it out in the box. You know what I'm talking about? I don't have kids, so I don't know exactly what the fuck it is. But they're changing these modalities because there's some I don't know, I'm kind of pulling this part out of my butt, some postmodernist Marxist bullshit up at the top of education. Of course, education is just filled with people who've never been in the real world because they were in school and they were in school to be in school, and then they teach in school. So I definitely think there's an element of whether kids try or not. That's very, very true and relevant. The good teachers. Again, the whole purpose here is highlighting Warren Smith being a teacher who is not only doing well, fostering that type of thought and trying to bring learning outside of the classroom, and they nuked him because it didn't look good on the school. And it wasn't even anything close to as bad as that. It's just they didn't want to look bad. And again, it's government jobs, so they don't care about the kids. They care about shh. Just keep it going. Let's just keep it going. Yeah, right? Insane. Shout out to Boggs. Welcome to the party. And I tend to agree. That is why I wanted to cover him. because I thought like he kind of just popped out of nowhere, and he did. And, his video went viral, and then Piers Morgan and J.K. Rowling reached out to him. Good for him. But yeah, I'm with you there, boss. I'm with you. Welcome. And we got Either Real. Welcome. Said Warren's pretty based. Yeah, he does seem to have good takes. It's just, I don't know. I can't put my finger on it. So after we finish this one, we're gonna get back to him on Triggernometry, and maybe I'll be able to nail it down. Well, you also got our boy TV Viewerski. Welcome to the party. Very good to see you guys. Should I don't know what would I like. Well, so after this, maybe I'll have something to say. But like, I'm at a weird place where I can't just like reach out and be like, "Hey, do you want to talk?" Like if I was like 300, 500 subs, and somebody was willing to just come on and talk, then that's a benefit because I'm getting a bigger name. Like when I had Ian Crossan on here, but if it's not going to be something that I can be challenging, then I'd rather wait down the road and then have something specific, and then that that creates a direct reason where it's not just like, hey, I like you, do you want to talk to me? It's a little bit gay, but yeah, if something comes up in this podcast, I will definitely do so. Shout out to Abe Dinkus. Welcome to the party. Yo, I cut up some rug, bruh. I came up in the fucking rave scene. I love dancing. Welcome. And we got our boy TV Viewerski with the big $10 pig pal. Thank you so very, very much. Of course, every donation comes with a treat for the Overlord, and that makes you, sir, the new sponsor of the stream. Very, very, very much appreciated, sir. Let's dive right back in.
The worst one ever, like what's on this girl's face right here. But I also want to point out that this girl seems to believe, and I give her credit, I guess, for understanding that a choir sings, but that they're going to sing for the governor's schedule. Like they're going to sing to the schedule, to the calendar on the wall. Maybe the calendar in his app. They're going to sing to that, which I don't think is accurate. I'm not the most educated man in the entire world. I don't be learning and reading very good right now at this moment. But I don't think that's where it is in terms of what you're trying to say in that particular sentence. That's just me. I'm just saying. Maybe I'm wrong. Let me know down in the comments below if you can actually write out a comprehensive sentence to, explain your actual position.
Call new X to choir to accommodate the governor's schedule.
What does that mean?
Okay, so we got another reader. We got another one who can actually read what it says. Does she know what the fuck she just said?
Position.
Call new X to choir to accommodate the governor's schedule.
What does that mean?
He asked the choir to accommodate. I don't know, bro. It mean he asked them to read the schedule. So
So this is where things get even rougher in this particular video. First of all, the girl is saying colonel. This will become more common as this video goes on.
And again, if that was the worst that we saw, that people were saying colonel instead of colonel, like, again, sounding out words, that is how you would sound it out. No big deal. But it's everything together. Shout out to Grade 1 Motorsports. Welcome to the party. Very good to see you. Shout out to the Unreasonable Man. How you been, brother? I want to talk to all of you. I'm just saying, if I'm gonna have like a guest, I need to make it do something. You know what I mean? All right, let's finish this one up because this was just meant to be a little side quest. But don't we all love Sean?
In this particular video. First of all, the girl is saying colonel. This will become more common as this video goes on. But for some reason, she's under the impression that the word accommodate means read. She's like, read the governor's schedule.
What the
now,
fuck?
Of course.
What in the fuck is going on with my pause? You know why they can't read colonel? Yeah, because I think if you sound it out, colonel. Actually, but hold on. If they're not sounding out the words, then why do they get to colonel? It should just be like, I don't know what that word is. You know what I mean? I say gauche. I think that's the right one, right?
There's a great irony in a girl that is barely literate, not understanding that the word accommodate doesn't mean read. That is not true. Again, ridiculous and absurd. I mean, when she goes to a hotel and then stays at it, and then the person's like, how did you like your accommodations? What is she going to respond? Well, the magazines in the hotel room, not very good. I didn't like the edition of the Bible that you had in the drawer over there. I don't think that was great material. Could you switch up what you have? Maybe throw in a little GQ or something? I don't know what magazines kids read, honestly. I don't know anything about magazines at all whatsoever. Is Vogue a magazine? Maybe she was like, could you put a copy of Vogue? And then I would have liked my reading materials. And then the person looking at them is like, we will never rent to you again. Get the hell out.
So Chloe said she read it fairly well, then responded, shit, I don't know. Now I mean, yes, because they are not using phonics. They are sight reading. They memorize words. You don't have the videos of what's the name of the dog? But it's a semi-common trend where people will have like a mat that has buttons, and like one button will say talk, one button will say outside, one button will say treat, one button will say love or something. And they teach the dog. Is it Dolly? Let's see. Hold on. Dolly? No, that's the sheep. Dolly the talking dog? It's not Dolly. I think it's Bunny. Yeah, Bunny. Let's do this one. This is exactly to the T what these kids are doing.
Good.
So all of these buttons have a different word.
Who is good? Yeah, Bunny good. Yes, Bunny good.
Give me a little speed on this. So you're going to ask?
Yes, Bunny good.
Sorry.
Dad play? Dad buy. Later. Dad play later.
And so she's thinking that this dog understands that he, she, whatever, is asking for dad to play. But the dog only understands when I press the buttons in this order, then I get what I want. This is exactly the same thing that these kids are doing. The exact same thing. Well, that's why she was so confused when we asked about the accommodation. English is cursed. The day gonna come for you? Clip it! What are we clipping? I don't know what we're talking about. I mean, they're cute, but your dog isn't communicating with you like that. They don't think, and their brains aren't that complex to be able to do that. They have single thoughts at a time, and you can string them together. But other than that, that's not the way they think. Shout out to Quality and Deference because vagina over on Rumble. Welcome. Set likes and share. Thank you. So very, very much. You guys know that stuff is free. It's easy. It helps out the channel so very, very much. And it doesn't even matter if you think anybody's going to click on the link that you shared. Just by you telling the platform you want more people to see it, they will show it to more people. Quality said, well, Obama didn't know how to pronounce Corman. I mean, hey, we all got blind spots, all right? Nobody here understands every single word in English. That's not the point here. The point is that while we all may have blind spots with the kids, they have certain words that they know. Yeah, we all do. But they just have certain words that they know. That is it. To them, speaking, yeah, right, we're 11. Speaking and reading to them are two entirely different things. Wow.
The colonel asked the choir to accommodate the governor's schedule.
What does that mean?
To sing with the governor.
Yeah, so the colonel wants the choir to sing with the governor. That's what it means. So I don't know if this woman is just hearing the word choir and then she says, okay, choir sing, therefore, it must have something to do with that. Again,
that's exactly how it is.
And trying to use context
like
clues,
Bunny.
I guess that's a tactic used for reading. But if this woman thinks that the word accommodate means sing, then we have two people back to back that have no clue what the word accommodate means. And again, remember, the controversy here is this kid filming it. They want to remove him from prom. They're threatening to expel him. He actually...
So we'll read the last one. And then there was a video, which I assume would be earlier, that has to do with teachers and administrators that shows... Like Liberty said, these people do not care enough to be educated themselves in order to educate the kids.
Can't read it. Can't read it. Can't read it. Can't survive it.
But if you thought things couldn't get any worse, if you thought this couldn't get any more embarrassing, get a load of the people who work at this school who also fail basic elementary school things.
So unnecessary.
Unnecessary. UNNECESSARY.
So this video right here, he's actually interviewing people who work at a school. The first person that he interviewed is the CEO of this charter school.
Well, embarrassed.
Embarrassed. EMBARASS.
Yes.
I always forget the second R in embarrassed.
Well, millennium.
Millennium.
And hey, yo, if you know what Y2K is and you can't spell millennium, I mean, what are we doing? Shout out to David over on Rumble. Welcome. Talking to each other. Word up. Very good to see ya.
Millennium. IMIL.
He said I.
MIL. ENIUM.
And as you just saw right there, he was able to...
True. Very different, two very different things, but they're obviously very closely connected.
To spell
Fair enough.
one of the three words that was offered to him. One of the three words. Unnecessary was the one that he could spell. Millennium and embarrass, absolute failure in every way possible.
And then we got the hall monitor.
UNNECESSARY.
So this guy's position is labeled the hall monitor at the school. I'm assuming that he's trying to make sure nobody's...
Millennium. MELENIUM.
How can you think that millennium is ME? The only thing that I'm thinking that you think millennium and you think ME is Windows ME, the Millennium Edition. I mean, I know I just saw Star Wars for the first time last night. But the Millennium Falcon, like, yeah, right? A melee. Come on. These are the people that are in charge. We saw the Warren Smiths of the world get ushered out. These motherfuckers can't even spell. And they're teaching.
I mean, guys, come on. These people work in education. These people are funded by your tax dollars. And by the way, this is a charter school. I would like for more charter schools, more school choice to be available. But this is what we're dealing with right here. A school loaded up with illiterates, not just in the student body, but in the faculty staff. And yeah, they're not doing well. But I think him trying to spell embarrass is actually one of the funnier portions of this. So let me play that as well.
All right, now spell embarrass.
EMBARASSED.
Embarrass, not embarrassed.
ED.
What?
Embarrass.
EMBARASSED.
Bruh.
So maybe this is him actually react. The counselor so far, one of my favorite people.
Embarrassed. No ED.
EMBARASS.
But when she takes it seriously, she still can't spell the word embarrass.
Wait. Did I skip up a part? Okay. No.
How you spell embarrassed?
So the security guard has no interest at all whatsoever. Then we jump to the English teacher, and it turns out even the English teacher only goes
The
one for
English
three.
teacher. Can we all agree that we expect the high school English teacher to be able to spell necessary, embarrass, and millennium? Is that too high of a bar?
Necessary.
UNNECESSARY.
All right, now spell millennium.
MILLENIUM.
Spell embarrass.
EMBARASS.
Now, like I said, the controversy surrounding this particular tale is not the actual video itself. It's not the teachers not being able to spell. It's not the students not being able to read it.
That's basically how they're treating it. These are not letters that make up sentences that make up ideas. These are pictures of things that somehow relate to what I see in my real life. That's exactly it.
It's not the lack of reading comprehension. It's not the fact that only 53% of these students are proficient in reading. And
so shout out to HJW. Drop the link in. Actually, let me do it there. Whatever. Drop the link in chat if you would like to see it on your own. But yeah, it's not good. It's not good. And so when we have teachers like we just saw being exalted, and then we have teachers like this being kicked out, what do you think is going to happen to the quality of education?
And 19%.
Nope.
Man, this is, I don't think you understand just the game they're playing here. I was like, and just be careful, like you as well, because this could happen to, and I had seen people get taken out. The principal who hired me was there for 8 years, devoted 8 years, and the assistant principal who hired me, taken out on the same day 2 years prior. And
Bugs, I feel like you're not understanding the degree of difference. Like, yeah, we got spell check. I rely on spell check, but we're literally talking about the inability to read. What we are seeing is legitimately illiteracy.
Nonsensical reasons. They just will force, they have the ability, because it's not like a regular public school, they have the ability to force through outcomes however they want. It creates a very weird environment. Yeah, so and he left, and as he was walking out, I was like, hey, there's this one device that will allow me to continue to plug a mic in, this XLR adapter. Can I buy it from you? And he just handed it to me, didn't say a word, got in his car. And that's the last time I saw him. And then I get a text from the school a week later saying, hey, that he left this microphone. And we had gone through great lengths to make sure all this equipment was personal. So we're not crossing any lines. School contacts me and says, you have our microphones. We're going to use that as leverage for this negotiation where they send an NDA. They said, if you sign this NDA, we'll pay you the rest of what we owe you for the year. We'll pay you for the end of the month, but we'll pay to the end of the year. If you sign this NDA, I'll prevent you from ever talking about this.
So again, remember the focus is to make the school look good, not make the children better. Make the school look good.
Just go over it with a lawyer, like a person from they're very rushed on the phone. They want, do you have any questions? Yeah, I have a lot of questions. Sorry, click, like that kind of thing. I have to get how am I going to afford a lawyer? I don't have any money, like, and they know that, so they think you're just going to sign it. And they insinuate that we'll make it so you can't teach. Essentially, we'll give you a good recommendation if you sign this thing. It would also give them control of some of the videos on the YouTube channel as well. So I did not sign it. Peter Boghossian helped me get a lawyer. Cost me, I think she went.
Shout out to Dr. Pete. Also, someone I've had on the channel, just Google, or not Google, but search the Indian Jesus, Peter Boghossian, and you'll see it.
Easy on me because she knew the predicament. So I think she gave me a break on the cost a couple, $4,000 probably, which is probably a good deal for. She negotiated with them, and she's like, said to me, if I were you, I've never said this to a client. Normally clients come to me with these offers, these NDAs, I say, just sign it. Because why do you need to talk about this? She's like, this is strange. My advice to you would be to, if you can afford to not take, it was like $8,000, $9,000. But to me, that was massive. She's like, if you can afford it, pass on it. Don't do it. And I'm so glad I didn't. I wouldn't be talking to you right now.
What did that's his whole career. That's his whole career. And so not only do they not care about the students, they don't care about the teachers either. And so people who are in an industry or an industry where caring about the outcome is not directly incentivized, we have to find people who are internally incentivized, despite what the school is presenting and the resources and so on and so forth, and the attitudes of the other teachers and the administrators and the parents, all of that stuff. And they want to push through that and still try to help. And they get fucked.
Entire experience teach you about the education system?
I was talking to these guys about it too. There's a fear that I see at the college level and the high school level around the emotional impact of the students to be able to have these conversations. So like the Sam Richards, who I've worked with, and I do videos covering him sometimes where he's live streaming his college courses, and they do very well because people find it fascinating. He's very worried about getting shut down. I went down and spoke to his class, which is 500 students. And I was supposed to go down this month, but he just texted me the other day and said he has a meeting he's been summoned to by the provost, and he doesn't think they're going to get shut down, but that threat is always looming, and that's what they're going to use. If I told him this earlier on, I was like, it's going to be over the potential for hurt feelings. They will probably won't even be able to touch.
Yeah, so it's essentially just, I'm going to skip to the next chapter. Oh, I hate that they did this. Why did they do this thing? Just let me scroll down. I hate that so much. So yeah, he's basically just telling that story about how they fucked him. They fucked him. So let's move to woke culture, student protest, and institutional weakness.
Where I think it was 2016 where you saw the real flourishings of woke, post-Trump. So let's talk about that because that's fascinating as well.
Yeah, I still teach at Emerson. I teach a filmmaking course, and that was originally my plan, was to hopefully be a professor at college. My parents were both professors. Academia seemed like a great job, and it is. It's got great benefits. And
oh my God,
I
read this as passed around. Ha ha ha! Whore. Just kidding.
Academia seemed like a great job, and it is. It's got great benefits. And but what I saw there in 2016 was, it shook me for sure. I wasn't into any. I discovered the space as well, Jordan Peterson, and I was fascinated by it because there was certainly a problem with what I was encountering at school.
You know what's funny? I just heard about the layoffs at Daily Wire. I did not. Jordan Peterson didn't even come into my mind. Pause. He that thought was not even there. Is JBP still at Daily Wire? Is he like active, or I know he was sick for a while. Anybody know what he's up to?
Students, over 300 students marched into a faculty assembly claiming that Emerson was racist. And
I've watched more videos than that.
With literally a list of demands, and the administration kowtowed to it. They gave in, and that was the next day. The week following that, I was taking a pedagogy course with the dean of undergrad teaching it, and we had to do.
Let's see. Let's go with Jordan Peterson. The last video he released 3 months ago. Okay, yeah, so he's out of commission. But I mean, almost 1 million views on that. And then before that, a month. I'm trying to see because yeah, okay. So, wishing for the best for JBP.
Devote the 4-hour class this week to discussing the systemic racism at Emerson. And the head of the Social Justice Center, which is a literal office, literal people, you could do anonymous bias reports. They were sitting in, and the white students were told to surrender our white privilege for the duration of the 4 hours. And I thought, that's so weird.
How does one surrender their white privilege?
I would love to have a discussion with them, but they won't. Probably they wouldn't have.
I would like to relinquish my white privilege.
And it's worth bearing in mind to people who don't know Emerson. Emerson is an incredibly left-wing college.
Yeah, it's extremely left-wing. I didn't meet a single conservative professor at the time there. There was one student I can remember from grad school that was libertarian.
So that being the case, you think, why is it that the most progressive left-wing, one of the most progressive...
Now that you say that, I did see that was out, and I also did not watch it. I mean, hey, again, wishing for the best, but okay, he's sick, he's out of commission.
Left-wing schools in the country is suddenly racist or white supremacist. It just doesn't make any sense.
What's a captivating narrative that creates...
Not familiar with him, but shout out Dilly Dilly and RIP to Kyle. That sucks. 34.
Some emotional satisfaction. It also gives the students the ability to make demands of their professors they couldn't otherwise make. So I was asked to teach my first class, screenwriting, and the teacher that was signing it to me, I was her TA. She goes, Warren, okay, you're about to do this. So remember, hold the students accountable. So for example, Warren, I have this one student doesn't show up to class, doesn't do any assignments. I'm going to give her the grade she deserves. You need to do the same thing. The protest happens. I'm about to teach it, and we have a follow-up meeting. You remember, Warren, I was saying about that student? She got named on the website. It was a Facebook group, #EmersonSoRacist, accusing of microaggressions, claiming she made a microaggression, which doesn't require evidence because it's subconscious. It's a microaggression. Yeah, Warren, I was really wrong about that because that.
Give me 1 second here. Now he's woken up a little bit.
Student, I forgot how difficult it is. She told me about how difficult it is to be black at Emerson. So I can't hold her to, it's insinuating I can't hold her to account for not coming to class because there's not enough professors that are black, according to them. They don't see themselves reflected in their student body, even though there are many black students and black professors.
That's so crazy. So what it's effectively saying is you can't uphold academic standards because somebody is of a different color.
That's what that student was pushing for, and many do. It allows them to push for that. So,
and do you think that these kids are coming up with that on their own, or do you think it's coming from elsewhere, whether the news media or the teachers and administrators that they look up to?
People are going to do what's in their interest if you give them the ability to. So it doesn't surprise me in the least that they took this narrative and ran with it.
And why do you think colleges cave to this kind of thing?
Because, so the pressure, the culture that exists within this high-level, highbrow academic elite, where they all strive to be as sensitive. Here's an example. One teacher didn't cave, and I have the letter that he sent an email. I think he sent it to the whole school, which is bold. I have it though. I don't remember. The president, he said,
it's all Morty's fault. I mean, hey, when he gets hungry, there's no telling what he's gonna do. Well, he said a microaggression with a micro penis is a micro snuggle struggle. True story. I don't know.
We shouldn't be kowtowing to a mob, essentially. Well articulated, long email. The president to respond. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that teacher did not blast it. He sent it to the president of the college. The president countered by blasting. Anyone with an Emerson email address received this email. So I have both letters. And it was essentially applying that pressure that you are going to be ostracized. Yeah, you have tenure, but you're cooked. If you go down this road, you don't represent our values that we have. We're striving. How dare you? These students are brave enough to stand up and tell us about their victimization and the subconscious turmoil that they're going through every day. How dare you treat it in such an insensitive way?
And so when we talk about how the schools don't incentivize teachers to teach, or incentivize teachers to care about the kids, it's not just that like they're like, they're actively working against the educators who actually care. And so then that's why it's weird to me to be so defensive over the TikToks that we saw with the kids who can't read. Like that lines up exactly with what we've been seeing, what we've been saying, all of that. It's exactly what we would expect.
And it was a long email, but that's how I would summarize it.
Because from what you're talking about with Emerson to what's happening in the school, it just sounds like the seeds were planted a long time ago. And the inevitable consequence is where we've reached now, where any type of debate is shut down or seen as damaging or harmful to the students.
Yeah, I've always enjoyed pushing back where I think it's warranted. And I would in class, and it was interesting to see how the professors responded. It was interesting to note that so many of the graduate level students in my discipline, at least, were direct students from China, which I still don't, I think it's because they pay higher tuition. It's essentially business.
Incentives. Why would it be insufferable to work with? Because he's not going along with the bullshit that they're trying to destroy our culture? Probably.
But Emerson has a high representation in China. Every year they send ambassadors over. They would select a student ambassador to go over for the convention in China. And I remember because the dean also had a high presence in China. She talked about how many times she'd been there. But I remember challenging one day in cultural media studies. I have the textbook still, and chapter 1 is by Karl Marx, talking about can we control the internet? And I was like, well, we should ask, how's it working in China? Like, what do you guys think? And I said it just like that. He said, no, you can't talk about like that or talk about that. It's like, this is a college level, this is a graduate level class.
Not even just pre-grad. This isn't like college freshmen. This is a graduate level class, and they're specifically talking about controlling the internet. And we have China. That is a real world example of doing exactly that. But no, shh. That might hurt people's fifis.
Analyze whether we control the internet, but we can't talk about real world examples because it's culturally insensitive is what he was insinuating. It's a little example. That one stands out in my mind vividly. But there was a lot of nonsensical encounters with professors that, it just gets under your skin. And then that drive, when you do see an alternative like Jordan Peterson, who I think put his finger on the source that you're describing, what led to this.
Well, it's the postmodernists.
You could describe largely as postmodernism.
Well, what I find extraordinary, Warren, is that you can kind of understand that in a society of social media and all this kind of stuff, you kind of go, well, maybe there's some sense to people being a little bit more careful about expressing, controversial things. Maybe, if you work for a big company,
Isn't he like a normal-sized person? Do you forget that I'm not?
Everyone doesn't need to know your political opinions because you're going to come into work, blah, 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 blah. But the one place that you would think you would encourage people to explore difficult and controversial ideas is university, is college, because that's what it's for.
It's not even political opinions. If we're having a conversation about can we control the internet, that's not political. We're engaging with the logic of the claim.
Yeah.
And it includes the discussion of political things, but it's not inherently a partisan thing.
One thing I totally understand, especially at the high school level, I don't like it when I see left-wing teachers preaching about Trump in class. I wouldn't do that from the right. It's another, if you're going to have a discussion, or if a student asks you, to explain, which literally happened to me. What is the difference between the left and the right, essentially? Or what is communism? You can
He's
do it.
also 10 years younger than me. I have no desire to fight anyone, especially not anyone. What?
Fair and balanced way.
Yeah, well, the left are good people, and
at the college level, that's what you're going to get.
Right. But
it's almost like there's stuff going wrong in the schools. Welcome to the conversation.
I guess what I'm getting at is, I mean, I think it's obvious to anyone who understands the pipeline of how you go from school to college to work to life, that this is the one part of your life that was specifically carved out for you to think about things, to explore different ideas, to challenge and be challenged. And that's now been taken away effectively, right? So what do you think the impact of that is on society?
I mean, it's a big question. I wish I had a really good answer to that. I think it's what we're seeing play out. Yeah, it just creates more
Source? Do you have a source that education is not good?
of a tribal sense, because everyone coming out of that system, out of that college that I've encountered personally, I can assure you there's no one coming out with a different point of view because it's being hammered so hard. And I was hired to be the personal videographer of, this is how I made money as a student, to the dean I was referring to with the presidents in China. So she would hire me to go in when there's a public speaker or someone coming, and I would do a promotional video, edit it quickly and get it out in 2 days. And so I got to see, Emerson has a very prestigious journalism program. And I got to see the people they were coming in, they were bringing in to speak, and they would bring in a conservative. This was when Trump was in the election. There was not, every conservative they brought in, I still have the video, the footage too of some of this. Every single speaker was still anti-Trump, the conservatives. They were explaining.
During the primary. I mean, well, yeah, I mean, we're Republicans, but Trump, Trump, we don't fucks with Trump. That was, as a never Trumper, I wish that I got the opportunity to enjoy early Trump. I did not. But seeing all the Republicans trying to see which way the wind's blowing when it came to Trump, that was hilarious.
Meaning how he's not a real conservative. It was incredible. The most nuanced, interesting speaker was
why I voted for him.
Impersonator, though. I have some great footage of that where
Trump impersonator.
Rolling Stone was doing a thing on him. He was getting some traction. I don't know where he went, but he came in and laid into the students and being like, no one thinks what you're doing is cute. You all are striving. You think you're victims. And he was a graduate of Emerson in the comedy program. And that was probably the most interesting speaker I saw. That would be the closest thing to a nuanced take that I would.
And how was that received?
The students were kind of left aghast. Yeah, they just were kind of speechless. But I think he knew what he understands the nature of comedy is to be bold. Yeah. He's not afraid to do that.
Maybe he has the footage, but it's not on his channel. At least not Warren Smith Trump impersonator. If you can find it, that's a free side quest.
He understands the nature of comedy is to be bold. Yeah. He's not afraid to do that. There was not enough. There was no. I commend them. There wasn't shouted off the campus like you would expect. But had he not been in such a prestigious role or just been covered by Rolling Stone and been backed as a personal friend by the dean, he would have been in probably a different response.
Well, one of the interesting things about what you're saying is this kind of environment, it creates people who actually can't think, which is why it's kind of impressive that the video you did about J.K. Rowling, with your help, actually could think. Because
right, and that's the truth of why what we're saying matches up with exactly what we're saying. And we'll just go through it quickly again in case you weren't here.
So these guys want to talk about.
But this was how he blew up. He had a student asking him when J.K. Rowling was in her, first coming out as a TERF and all that stuff. Student did this, and
J.K. Rowling, is that so? What's going on with that? What do you want to know?
She's had a pretty controversial past. I just want to know, what are your thoughts on it? Do you still like her work despite her bigoted opinions?
So let's get specific, though. Let's define bigoted opinions. What opinions are bigoted? We're going to treat this as a thought experiment. I'm not going to say what's right or wrong or what way to think. The whole point is to learn how to think, not what to think.
Yeah.
So when you say bigot, you're
like a teacher says.
You're starting with the conclusion that,
or like a good teacher.
Opinions.
Yeah.
So first, let's start with, does she have bigoted opinions? So when you say bigoted opinions,
she has had a history of being extremely transphobic. I've heard.
Hey, you've heard. So what? Can you give me an example?
If you look at her Twitter, I think you can see a few things. If you want, I could try and find something.
See if you can find one.
So one of these tweets that she
a few minutes later
came up with in 2019, and she said, "Dress however you please, call yourself whatever you like, sleep with any consenting adult who will have you live your best life in peace and security, but force women out of their jobs for stating that sex is real."
So you find that bigoted? What do you find about
it was deemed transphobic. Like I myself,
do you find that transphobic yourself?
I don't really have an opinion on it, but I'm just going with what a lot of other people have said.
So
I don't have an opinion on it. I'm just going with what other people said. And this is not just a education thing. This is a cultural thing. We're just, everybody's thinking this. So everybody knows that.
Not go with what other people are saying. Let's try and learn how to critically think.
You
so let's
think.
analyze the tweet ourselves. So that statement, do you see anything problematic? Disregarding other people's opinions.
She did try and pin some things on a specific group of people.
Where did she do that? Can you read that?
But force women out of their jobs for stating that sex is real.
So when I hear that, I'm interpreting that as meaning if a woman says that, saying that there's a difference between men and female and then being attacked as transphobic, I think that's what she's saying by attacking someone for stating that sex is real.
That is exactly what she's saying.
Is that transphobic to you?
So, to me, no. Stating that sex is real is not transphobic. It's just a fact of life. It exists.
So is there anything you disagree with in that tweet?
In that tweet, I can't really see anything that I myself disagree with, but I can see why some people would think, oh, this is offensive. We can't have that here or something. Because
sure.
Fair enough.
There's an apology tweet.
Let's read that. What did she say?
Is there though? There's no apology tweet. But I still want to go on with this. And that's why, when you guys say, oh, these kids are retarded. They're not. It's not that. It's not that. Education is failing our country. It is failing. And it's because the people in the public school system and the college system do not care about what they need to care about. Whatever they do care about, I don't know. But it's certainly not the kids.
Respect every trans person's right to live any way that feels authentic and comfortable to them.
We're all trans on stolen land. I know, surprise too, equality. Academia has failed. We have people like this who are willing to do
Right
it.
to live any way that feels authentic and comfortable to them. I'd march with you if you were discriminated against on.
That's why they're so fucking angry. That's why they're so fucking angry all the time. They're exhausted from trying to be the right thing that they're supposed to be. They're exhausted from trying to fit into the mold. I don't get it.
The basis of being trans. At the same time, my life has been shaped by being female. I do not believe it is hateful to say so.
You see anything problematic there?
Do you see any apology there?
She's apologizing, so...
Is she though? Sounds like she's standing on business.
No, not really. If I could read it again.
It sounds like a very similar statement as what she was just saying. She's basically saying, I have nothing, to me, this is what I interpret it as, I have nothing against someone being trans. It's not your life, but you just don't get to impose on you can live how you want, I can live how I want.
Yeah.
And that's all,
Exactly.
So I guess now that we're looking at it like, oh, there's not much difference between me or her, do you think it's fair that that she's being attacked by a large group of people and people are calling her, like you said at the beginning of this conversation, you said, given the fact that J.K. Rowling is transphobic, how do you feel about Harry Potter? Now, retroactive.
And I'm playing this all the way through because the ending, I'm sorry we saw it already, but the ending really, it just hits the nail on the head.
Looking at that statement, do you think that was the best way to phrase?
No, I feel like an idiot now.
It's okay though, but this is why we do this, to learn how to think.
There's been so in my class specifically, in our class, there's been quite a few people in there who have been saying oh, she's transphobic. I've not until today, I haven't really thought about it because I just believe there's 5 people saying it. It must be correct.
No, if 5 people say it, it must be true. If 5 people say it, it must be true. And so again, Box, the fact of the matter is that I agree. You should have skepticism when you find things like that. But it's made it to official sources. There's the news stories on it. It's not it's not some kind of we got hoodwinked. Like there's a lot of that. This ain't it. This ain't it, brother. The children are really down bad, and I understand why we want to be like, okay, it can't be that bad. It's that fucking bad.
Increasingly, we see this now on the internet as well. It's like people are incapable of separating ideas from people. And
Equality saying, bless the kid for saying he feels like an idiot. Understanding that, it was right in front of me. All I had to do was think about it. They're not taught to think.
the way that debates are now increasingly conducted. I mean, as we're sitting here recording this won't go out for a while, but there's literally some of America's most prominent journalists saying that they have micro penises online. And it seems to me like that, I mean, that's kind of a direct continuation of this, like where you no longer discuss any of the issues, and it's just you're on the wrong side of history, you're the other, and what gets lost is the actual conversation.
And it's deeply offensive to people from the community.
Absolutely.
I think it's largely, I've been working on this book that's coming out that kind of delves into this. I think it comes back to the laws of narrative and the fact that we can't separate the character from the narrative psychologically. It's impossible. I think it's largely because their narratives are built on their business is built on their claims. When you become wed to your ideas, that becomes your brand. Now you're defending your brand. So you're less likely to change your mind. And then it...
Right. So all these activist groups that work to get, the new math and all that kind of stuff in the curriculum, they existentially can't admit that they are wrong, or that what they are trying to attain or trying to achieve, whatever it is, that they're not doing it, that they're failing. They cannot admit that, because then all the money disappears. Kids? We don't give a fuck about kids. We got to keep the train moving. I've got money to make. All right? If these kids are going out into society and can't fucking read a sentence, not my fucking problem. I mean, compared to when? Compared to like 2017 and 2020, definitely. But we are very, very, very tribalistic these days, for show.
It leads into these wars that we're seeing now. So that's my approach is different, because I don't find that to be. There's things that I feel strongly about still. Right? But those are my first principles. That's not what we're seeing. We're seeing how the first principles manifest into politics. And frankly, politics is kind of boring to me compared to the deeper dynamics beneath all this.
I agree. And that's why there's a lot of, we've got, the Iran war is going on. And I'm not, focusing on that much in terms of the show. Like we've talked about, I think we did like a Piers episode where they were talking about, we heard from Dave Smith and stuff. But then you kind of know what, then it's just like, all right, well, we're waiting and seeing what's going to happen, and we'll go from there. Meanwhile, there's plenty of other things to talk about. And like, even outside of this kind of stuff, again, we just did the movie night last night where we watched Star Wars for the first time, my first ever time. And check it out on Rumble. I mean, obviously, it's just a movie. I'm not really talking, but we can do that regularly. And I think there, at least for me personally, pop culture is how I relate to the real world in such a way that makes sense. And so when I can see that, in Lost, when this happens and that guy says this, that mirrors the real life situation of this and that, or the real life concept of this is what we should do, this is what we should not do, whatever. It allows me to understand it more clearly. And the more clearly I can understand it, the more clearly I can explain it. And right or wrong, the better I can explain what's in my head, the better we can have a discussion. You know what I mean? Shout out to Matthew King. Welcome. So the Department of Education was the biggest downgrade in our public school system. Spending money at a federal level has not helped a single child anywhere. Damn. But yeah, throw more money. Throw more money. All right? So 5 people in your tribe said there was a lion over there. You believe them. Right? But what? Do you think the concept of being in a small tribe where there are lions and 5 people in all of Twitter said that J.K. Rowling, is that what we're still talking about? Because that's a terrible analogy, so. Well, there's an entire channel dedicated to it. And it's fucking amazing. Everyone should. If you like Lost, you have to go and follow this channel. He not only has like a bajillion different things about different stuff in the past, and like here's a why you should watch it. There's plenty of stuff there. He does how this bad boy went from Muslim to, but then he also recently started episode by episode. So, that's already here. Yeah. Oh, did he delete everything else? Damn. Oh no, he didn't. But yeah, so every episode by episode. But it's not like, okay, here's what happened in episode 1. It's like, okay, taking the entire story into account, what happens in episode 1 that reverberates through the rest of it. Point being, if we all, if all of us know Lost, then I can talk about this stuff in the context of Lost that will make it easier for all of us to understand. And if I'm wrong about that, then it'll be easier for you to understand what I'm saying and say, no, that's wrong because of this. And if I'm right, then we're good.
Compared to the deeper dynamics beneath all this.
Yeah, I totally agree. And it's one of the reasons we have had a lot of political guests on the show, but we've increasingly felt like that we want to space them out if having any of them at all. And I mean, when we started, our rule was we don't have politicians on the show. And then, you kind of, things are going on in the world. You want to hear some of their perspectives, whatever. But over time, you're definitely right that it kind of, you end up playing a totally different game, and it's not the game we want to play. And by the way, I think there...
Oh yeah. So I didn't watch Lost when I was coming up. Similar reason to why I never saw Star Wars. It's just like I was too young to know. Oh, on what was it, NBC or ABC, whatever. There's this show about that. Like that's just not something I would have been into. My parents might have watched it. My older cousins might have watched it. I don't think my brother would be into it. But I just never knew about it. And so a while back, maybe like 5 or 6 years ago, I was like, all right, let's see what's good with this. And there's a lull in like season 3, episode like 4 to 7, it kind of stalls. And then because of the 24 episode seasons, there are filler episodes and stuff. And I was really enjoying it, but I think I was watching it on like on demand when we still had cable. I was watching it on demand, and then like I moved and I just never looked into it again. But then they put it on Netflix. So I was like, oh, fuck yeah, let's go. That was last year. Since then, I've watched the show 4 times. On the 4th time, I watched it all the way through and then went back and watched seasons 5 and 6 again. So I've seen 5 and 6 5 times. And then I just finished last week watching Chronologically Lost. Every scene in the show, they cut and re-edit it. So it is in chronological order. So it starts with the early island stuff, and then it goes to the 70s, then it goes to all the flashback stuff, and then it's them on the island, and you get to see the plot play out without, all the confusion of we're going back to this, and, we're leading to that, and they don't know this, and that happened, and all that stuff. And it's almost like an academic thing. It's super, super interesting, but obviously the show, the way that they aired it, is more entertaining, but fucking insane. Fucking insane. Definitely got to watch it a few times. True. Shout out to Frasier. All right, let's dive back in here. Like, bro, you know how much I would love to do like a whole series watch of a show like that? I would love to do that. But I don't think you guys would show up.
You end up playing a totally different game, and it's not the game we want to play. And by the way, I think there is plenty of space, and you're demonstrating, I hope we're demonstrating it, for content, which is not about we're on this team or on this team, but more like we are adjudicating the issues that come up.
Bingo. Exactly. Shout out to Manatron. Welcome to the party. Good to see ya. Watch Lost now. There you go. So when you finish, and the next time you're getting that kind of Lost itch, go for Chronologically Lost. It's fucking epic. Paul's asking how I liked A New Hope. I mean, it was cool. It was interesting. I mean, it didn't blow my socks off as something that's been lauded as the greatest thing in cinema history. Nothing. I was never going to lead up to or meet those expectations, but yeah, I enjoyed it. I'm definitely looking forward to Empire Strikes Back, and hopefully, if we hit that weekly goal, then we will be doing that shortly. All right. That whole town. Yeah. I mean, I think we all kind of know where we're at with the transes here. We all kind of don't really care if you do some shit, but just like leave us alone, leave the kids alone. I think we're all essentially on that same page. Dirk Diggler said Empire's better. I have heard that from a lot of people. Yeah, I'm doing release order. At any kind of series or franchise, I always want to watch it in release order first, and then if I like it, I'll go back and watch it in chronological order. What page? Where? There you are. You just said it was. That's why I said most.
Team, but more like we are adjudicating the issues that come up as we go, and we have some principles that guide us in that. But like a lot of people won't be able to tell what we think about an issue that comes.
No, I had the last night was before last night. The only Star Wars property I'd ever seen was season 1 of The Mandalorian, and I just watched that because of Bill Burr. So I have not seen any of it.
Guide us in that. But like a lot of people won't be able to tell what we think about an issue that comes up. They try to, but often they're surprised by that. And I think a lot of people find that very discombobulating because they just want you to be on their team.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yeah. That's been an eye-opener as well.
And how often, what the fuck? How often do I explain how you can see that right, left, center? There's a lot of people who treat this all as a game. The people who are typically have actual privilege, the actual ability to stay away from the types of policies that they push forward. If you have more money, if you live in a nice area, if you so on and so forth. Those are the people who treat it like a game. Because it doesn't fucking matter to them. Crazy.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
It's not a game.
Yeah,
it's a real
that's
fucking
been an
life.
eye-opener as well for me. Yeah, there's been content creators where, because I do this format where I like looking at the dynamics of these interactions, and you're not.
Well, I had to force you guys to fucking come watch it with me. I'm not gonna sit there and watch it by myself. Like, it's not that kind of movie where I'm gonna be like, oh, wow, you know, it's like a thing. So I've been begging everybody to do movie night kind of stuff, but if I don't fucking do it, nobody will.
Gonna win them all. Everyone is going to have ones that go well, and because we're wrong about certain things, and sometimes even when you're right, it's going to go poorly. It doesn't. Just the nature of debates, and I don't even like thinking of myself as a debater. But I've noticed that as well, where like Tim Pool got really pissed at me because I disagreed with him on one video, and that I was like, whoa, that took me aback. And there is this sense, I've had a lot of people where there's this team dynamic where it's like, yeah.
Do I remember? Does anyone remember that? I'm trying to think. I haven't been watching Timcast regularly. I'm gonna look for that.
Yeah, but you're supposed to be on our ideological team. But it's important to note, there's not a single person I'm going to agree with on everything.
Yep, and that's a similar type of thing. I'll look for the clip itself, but a similar type of thing of how Tim is very much like, I'm not Christian, but whenever he can slide in a little pander to the Christians, he does.
We were kind of referring to that.
Yeah, right. Well, I mean, one of the difficulties is if you play the team game, which I understand why people play because it's comfortable and there's lots of money to be made and friendships and, gatherings and all, there's lots of advantages, network advantages to being part of a thing. I don't think that's really compatible with having solid principles. And
True. Not shout out to that. Okay, so we're gonna say there. We're gonna do a little side quest. I should really just check every time. But echo or no echo.
Simply for survival. Honestly, this is surreal to see like a content creator whose work I've been consuming for years.
I've been getting a lot of comments from individuals about the debate I had with Andrew Wilson, I think like a year ago on the issue of rights. Warren Smith made a video discussing this.
This is the only time I've ever even been critical in any way. And suddenly it's like,
because I am sick of amoral, degenerate evil that would burn this world to the ground. And there's too many people that do.
Just real quick, they said, like, I've been going back and forth to StreamYard, and I'm literally like, I will fucking go to a different thing. Like, I know Streamlabs is a thing. I can make that work. I pay enough money that this shit needs to work. And they're just like, well, we forwarded to our team. We'll get back to you. And then nothing. It's super fun.
moral, degenerate evil that would burn this world to the ground. And there's too many people that do.
I was trying to identify what is it about this model that Andrew presents that is so effective. It's not that I think Tim is wrong. I just think it goes deeper than mere survival.
It seems like Warren is intending to target people who don't watch my show to misrepresent me.
It's just really interesting how you can make 5 complimentary videos and say nothing but good things, but if you disagree one time, suddenly...
Warren's not even arguing. Warren, I'm going to get a little rough on you. This is the shittiest shit I've ever seen. All you're doing is insulting me in between things Andrew Wilson says.
When I'm looking at this video, I'm watching it in real time, trying to articulate what those moves are, saying what I'm thinking in that moment. It might not be fully thought out. It's not going to be the steel man.
I feel like this is a way that he could post this insulting me without actually adding anything to the conversation.
So this is actually the video that Warren is reacting to is actually an hour long. We could do that as, we'll see what this is, but I'm going to put up a poll and see if you guys would be interested in that specific, thing, because it'll have it's Tim Pool and Andrew Wilson, and then Warren Smith, his commentary.
And
I feel like this is a way that he could post this insulting me without actually adding anything to the conversation.
Fair. Perhaps I worded that incorrectly and it came across as an insult. I meant to say, I don't think Tim has thought about it to this level with this specific model. I did say that to Tim in our exchange. I was like, it's not that I think you're wrong.
Now, I did hit up Warren Smith and talk to him about this, and he was like, I hadn't thought through, I guess.
Yeah, I really hate the fucking clickbait titles. I really hate it. Like, if that's always what he did, then I don't love it, but that's your brand. But specifically because you talk about, I was thinking about covering the Schroyer debate, but I was like, let's get away from the well sense for a while. But yeah, we all watched the Legendary series, right? And it's over. Hassan is cooked every single day. But that's the brand. That's the joke. If I'm coming to you for news and you're putting out 6 different videos a day, then tell me what the fuck you're talking about. And again, I highly doubt that. I mean, he's still doing it, so maybe I'm wrong. But I highly doubt that the level of increased views that he's getting on the videos is not worth the decline in watch time. And so YouTube, the main thing that YouTube cares about in terms of analytics, the main thing is watch time. How long, if somebody lands on your video, how long are they watching? And so we have 72 views here and the average view time of 12 minutes and 54 seconds. So that means that most of you have been here, but a lot of people have been filtering in and out. And that's how it goes. And so if I were to make titles that were more catchy, but didn't really show you what we were going to talk about. I mean, I'm a streamer, so it's a little bit different. We kind of go off and do whatever. But let's say I wasn't, and let's say I did what Tim does without Timcast IRL. And I just put out 5 different videos a day. And every day, I was just like, this is crazy. They actually did that. How is he going to recover? Eventually, you're going to be like, all right, I mean, unless I can see in the thumbnail that it's something that I already care about, I'm not clicking on that shit. And the people who don't know the channel that well, and they just see the thumbnail and they see the title, they click it, and then it's not really anything that they're interested in, and they click off. That is a big ding in the algorithm. So I don't get it. I don't get it. But hey.
That's not what I was saying at all. I was articulating that, yeah, to me, it probably would have been better for me to articulate it as I had not thought about this in that specific way, because it is very specific. That doesn't mean you're stupid or I'm trying to make you look stupid. If we take that off the board, where have I insulted you?
Imagine being as myopic as Warren Smith is on this issue.
I mean, I hear what you're saying, and I agree, but I'm saying specifically with Tim, because Tim was, still is, very high in the rankings of who I want to get news from. Not nearly at the top anymore, but it used to be. And so specifically with Tim, it was about, okay, now I can see what is Tim talking about. And now I don't know what Tim is talking about. So now I just have to add all the videos to my watch later list. And I'll watch the first 2 minutes and see if it's something I care about. If not, then I skip it. And that's really bad for the algorithm, because it's one thing. It's one thing if you see the thumbnail and the title, right? And you're like, I don't really care much about the education, or I don't know who this guy is, or whatever. You notice how I try to use very big words and like the size of the word itself, not like the actual length of the word, but because you want the thumbnails to be catchy enough so that someone is like, oh, what's that? All right, and then the title. I forgot where I was going with that.
Stupid.
Oh, yeah. So if somebody sees this and they're just like, yeah, whatever, then that is an impression. That's what's called an impression of somebody actually seeing the video. But if they don't click, then it's not as big of a ding on me, because then that means it's more likely that the person who swiped by it simply isn't interested, rather than they don't want to watch what I'm doing. So impressions do matter, but fine. Then once somebody decides, okay, I see this and I want to see what that is, and then I click it. Once you click it, then the average of, and now we're up to 13 minutes. There we go. Each person is timed, and if most people are only watching a little bit, then it's not a matter of, oh, I just wasn't interested in the way you presented your video. No, I clicked on the video, and the video itself made me not want to watch you. That's why I say it doesn't even matter if you guys think anybody's going to click on the link when you share it, because just by you pressing share, just by the link existing somewhere else, that is a small signal that, oh, we want more people to see this. So I can't imagine that it's helping. Where are we? Yeah, okay. Tim is big because he's a wanton
How dare you?
Mean words. Tim Pool and the Quartering are basically the same channel. Probably why I've never really felt the need to get into the Quartering. Like something burn. I disagree. The fact that you're saying that means that I have a lot to add to that. So you got to think. You got to think from my seat. With the side quest, it's not just, oh, Lutch, I want you to see this. It's, Lutch, I want your commentary on this. When it comes to the debates, it's not about was it a good debate. It's about how well can Lutch break this down and show why it was embarrassing. Okay, fine. It lacked substance and was embarrassing for both of them. That sounds right up my alley. Unless you guys want to be in debates that lack substance and are embarrassing for you and your opponent, then you want to watch what they did and don't do it. I really don't like the We Are Change channel. Yeah, I love when he's on IRL, but I tried to get into his channel for a while, and it's not for me. I think he's a cool dude. I love when he's on the show, but has Tim ever gotten drunk on stream and pissed in his bed? I don't think so. Someone who doesn't really drink like that, I'm going to say I don't think so.
Out off the board, where have I insulted you?
Imagine being as myopic as Warren Smith is on this issue and literally just facetiously, or that's not the right word, literally just repeating what I said as an absolute without understanding the argument seems like he was intentionally trying to insult me.
I was trying to identify what is it about this model that Andrew presents that is so effective.
Quality said, Andrew, voice of God in my head, Wilson, doesn't offer solution. He just asserts the magic of his vague position. Yup. Actually, let me get this back in. Yup.
Or did Warren Smith even make any actual arguments?
That's, again, why I like Rachel more than I like Andrew.
This is not about my argument. I'm analyzing the moves of a game being played. The only argument I'm making is that I think that Andrew Wilson is presenting a very specific mental model.
Yeah, okay. So there you go. You know, before you're saying hit up Warren and see what's good, that is something that we could talk about. Where I think here, I'll play it again. He just said,
it's not about my argument. I'm analyzing the moves of a game being played. The only argument I'm making is that I think that Andrew Wilson is presenting a very specific mental model.
Yeah, okay. And so I think that is an overlap, and we definitely could talk about how, you know, doing that stuff and taking that type of position of, you know, essentially being the referee. You know what I mean? So this isn't tonight. This is from when? This is 9 months ago.
My whole theory is that rights themselves are force.
This whole thing sparked off of just the claim.
I think he is a crucible guy, though.
Bound by force.
And that's all they ever are. It's
that is, again, it's anarchic and fascistic tenets.
He was just challenged with a specific question to see if someone could.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he is, I don't know if he's like rah ortho, but I'm pretty sure he's tangentially connected. Don't quote me on that, but I think so. Is that true? I don't know. Shout out to Colonel Quail. Welcome. We know that word. Right? Welcome. Mantron said, "I'll say I'm not a fan of Warren Smith's editing, like Holy Mother of Jump." Oh, and that's, bro, when I see stuff like that, and it's like, I'm out here trying to make sure this looks great, and the lighting over here, and I'll move the camera just like that, and then people just throw out fucking lowly edited bullshit. So what? I could just be doing that. 3 hours of work, and I'm done for the fucking day. Crazy.
Anarchic and fascistic tenets.
He was just challenged with a specific question to see if someone could poke holes in it. In this encounter, I don't think any holes were discovered. That's it.
When you jump cut the video that we already put up and then just insult me and say something like, "Oh, so you can do anything you want," and then jump cut away without actually making an argument, it's pedestrian, I suppose. We'll be academic in our insults.
I've never once, I don't think, ever used the word pedestrian.
You can consume something you can't.
He didn't say that you said pedestrian. He's calling you pedestrian. Tim is calling Warren pedestrian. He's like, I don't think I've ever used that word.
Stupid. Pedestrian, I suppose.
Yeah, it's pedestrian.
We'll be academic in our insults.
I've never once, I don't think, ever used the word pedestrian.
You can consume.
So unless that is an insult back, that what a weird insult, then he misunderstood that whole point.
Something you can't steal something. I don't think that's hard to understand.
I have not heard him say anywhere that he has the right to steal something.
Why is it a right? Because humans wouldn't exist.
Some of this is instinctive. It's like, I think there might be more to that. Is that why we have rights? Simply for survival? Or is there something that's sometimes more important than one's survival? It's just an idea of it playing with.
Then Warren has the...
Hey, shout out to Jason. Welcome to the party, sir. Very good to see ya. Tim Pool, what? Yeah, he ain't the one to get the
nerve to say that I'm trapped or wrong. I genuinely don't understand.
It's strange when you are genuinely a fan of someone's work for years, you've been watching them for years, they don't know you exist, and then suddenly it gets very personal.
But I don't think Warren actually wanted to listen to the argument.
And I had that exact experience with Tim. There was a while ago, maybe it must have been over a year, when I was still a member, and I called into the after show and I talked about my whole American identity thing, and he ended up being right about. I was like, why can't we just have the Constitution of the America being the way that we want it as our focus instead of having God, and then we can bring in more secular conservatives. And he told me, well, because you need a mission, you need that incentive. And since then, I've understood the context of it. I was annoyed about it in the moment, but this is exactly why I believe that that secular humanism doesn't work. And that's why I say that Christianity is better, even though I don't believe in the truth claims. Secular humanism just tells you what is right and what is wrong. But if you don't have any incentive to do what is right or what is wrong, then it doesn't push you to do that. Whereas Christianity obviously has a reason why you should not only know what is right and wrong, but why you should do what is in fact right.
I'll tell you what I think. I think Warren wanted to make a rage bait video where he just pissed me off. Congratulations. Misrepresented my argument for the sake of getting a larger channel to say his name, which congratulations. But I will assert this. There are a lot of people that make the claim, don't address the haters, blah, blah, blah. Okay. Well, there are a lot of people that make drama videos about me, and I'm the least likely to make a drama video about me.
It's not a problem when I'm praising you with Luke Beasley or Emma Vigland, but if I do it one time where I'm slightly even disagreeing or critical, then suddenly I'm profiting off your name.
Warren,
I mean, hey, us streamers are very sensitive fucking people. Okay, we're sensitive. We set all this up so that you guys would come and be like, look at me. We're sensitive people, all right? Shout out to Eva Vigilant. Is that the... What? One, how do you not know who Emma Vigilant is? Two, this is 3 men talking. Emma Vigilant is the chick from the Minority Report. Are you okay? You okay, bro?
Smith has made the video that exemplifies what I hated so much about working in those nonprofits. Misrepresenting my arguments, misrepresenting my views.
It just is what it is, baby. If you're not sensitive, then you're not going to, you're not going to do all of this. Why would you go through all of this? You know what I mean?
And doing so that he can profit off of my name.
You really want to get into the money conversation? I make pennies compared to you, I bet.
I'll put it like this. The success and the wealth of Timcast is in spite of the evils and moral shortcomings of this world.
It's kind of like, wow, well, that escalated quickly.
I want you to close your eyes and imagine that you are a child who has no parents and you are sleeping under a bridge. No one cares about you. No one loves you.
I'll be honest, this is disappointing because I genuinely was not expecting this response.
And they say, take my hand. I care about you. You can be that person.
And this afternoon, I do have a conversation with Andrew Wilson I've been looking forward to, and maybe I can address some of these things. I think a conversation would be the best way to hash all this out. It'd be a lot faster just to have a conversation. Doing these video responses, there's a lot of crosstalk, and there's always going to be accusations of, yeah, but you didn't address this time that I said this thing that I feel is very important to my argument.
Warren Smith edited this in such a way to omit my arguments. He removes when we look at communist nations and we look at the success and growth of life, when we see the functions of life, when we ask the question, what does life do? We can approach it from a secular standpoint of life is negative entropy that can only exist within a larger state of entropy. That is, life organizes free energy into complex systems at an ever-expanding rate. Some people can't understand this, so they say, I'm stupid for even suggesting it. But that's just people who can't understand.
No, but that's because you don't understand the difference between an open system and a closed system. But you guys get the point. So again, I will drop the link here in the chat if you would like to see the whole thing. And then I'm going to put up a poll. So like I said, this is Warren reacting to an hour-long video of Tim going through the argument with Andrew. So do you want me to cover Tim versus Warren? Shout out to Waco Mine. Very, very good to see you. We're done with this, right? All right, let's dive back in.
That's really compatible with having solid.
Actually, not. Wow, we're at the break. We're tribalism, all that stuff. I'll later on.
Principles. And I'm not even that interested in anymore, but like the Candace Owens situation is a very good example of this, where she's making claims about the fact that Erica Kirk killed her husband with the connivance of Egypt or Israel. It changes every day, right? And a lot of people on the right, on her team, are very quiet about it, which is, maybe she's your friend, whatever. You handle it whichever way you think. That's up to those people. But I just know that if someone on the left was saying, well, no, Charlie Kirk wasn't killed by the guy that we think he was killed by. Actually, he was killed by Erica Kirk. I think those people might have had something to say about it, right?
Yeah, to think. Remember, guys, we did start early, and we're not going to be doing the after party, so unless we hit the goal, so we have 58 minutes to get that goal in. Otherwise, I am going to sleep.
So you either have consistency of party loyalty or you have consistency of thought and ideas. And you can't have both sometimes, right?
Can't have
Not
both.
to the absolute, because you're gonna disagree sometimes, for sure. For me, the way I approach it, if I'm being quiet about something, the way I would articulate is like, I have not seen adequate evidence to indicate that Erica Kirk killed Charlie Kirk. Like, that's how I would address it.
Yeah, I think that's
fair. I would just leave it at that. Right. I don't know Candace.
But on the point I'm making is something else, Warren. And again, I don't really particularly care about having a go at these people who are supposed to call Candace out or those people or whatever. I'm not that interested. I'm just making a broader point, which is if you are, let's say, on the right and someone on the left made these comments about Charlie Kirk, the response would be immediate and strong and thorough and probably vicious.
Yeah.
And yet when someone on your team does it, you kind of go, I think attacking Charlie Kirk's widow is wrong.
Yeah, that's going back to that. We can't separate the character from the narrative.
Right.
That's
And I guess the point I'm trying to make is I don't think it's possible to play a team game while also being true to the facts.
I agree. I don't I don't play team, even if it looks like it. I don't play team.
I think that's a common thing, that because there's a lot of agreement on the right, there's a lot of forced agreement, there's a lot of conformity on the left, but there's a lot of genuine understanding of the same values on the right. That doesn't mean there's not going to be conflict. And so they on the left see the conflicts of the right. And to them, it mirrors what they do. To them, they're not seeing it as, oh, this Trump supporter thinks this and that Trump supporter thinks that. It's they see it as, oh, one of the Trump supporters fell out of line and that's bad to the Trump supporters. Because to them, when someone falls out of line, somebody isn't playing for the team, then they get the punishment. They might be ostracized, whatever it is. Not the same thing. Play, motherfucker.
Jordan Peterson was right to call, and this has always stayed with me. I don't like identity politics on the left or the right. Maybe it's because I was just listening to. I
would very much like to take that step backwards. I would very much like to take the step backwards to where high schoolers can read.
Favorite debate driving down here with
Hey, shout out to Bugs. Thank you for the $2 making you hello. Very, very, very much appreciated. And of course, a treat for the Overlord. Thank you. So very, very much, sir. That is 58 out of the weekly goal. Let's get it. Thank you, sir. Very, very, very much appreciated.
To my favorite debate driving down here with Stephen Fry. I mean, it's one of the simple debate, but it's one of the most powerful. And that was the message. It's like, when does the left go too far? The right goes too far. I'm not going to, yes, and it goes deep to psychology, evolutionary psychology, why we band together in these ways, but it's a foolish game, I think.
Well, one of the things that happens is I think in the podcast and content creation, YouTube space, what we're talking about, which is ideas and politics, they get meshed together. And so you have people who are talking about ideas, and sometimes they're talking about politics, and we do this too. And then those two things come together, and I think it's quite confusing. It's like, are you talking about ideas or are you talking about politics? Because they're just different games. And I think a lot of the discrepancy comes from that, actually.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, it's like the difference between the first principles and how those underlying dynamics versus how they manifest into politics. I mean, I agree with you on that for sure. Yeah.
I think part of the worry is when we talk about
come on. Yeah, exactly, Jason. Just the thought the left doesn't care about right from wrong. They only care about getting their own way, because the rhetoric, the propaganda has been essentially, you think the right things. We are the right, the correct side. We're on the right side of history. And so the ends justify the means. Even if we believe in free speech, we can censor those people because we're on the right side of history and they're the bad ones. Even if we care about bodily autonomy, we can force you to take an experimental vaccine because, that's the right thing. So they do care about right from wrong. They just have a very, very twisted way of determining what is, in fact, right and wrong. So, I mean, they have the secular humanism there to at least determine right from wrong that matches I'll say, Christian-esque type of worldview. But without that incentive, it doesn't land. And it becomes, well, I'm a nice person, so if I think this, then it must be true. End of thought.
Education is, because I used to be a teacher, so everyone can drink now. I mention it every episode.
That's right, yeah.
I like it where it's like, yeah. But
where's your mum from again?
Venezuela. Anyway, 2 drinks. But one of the things that you do as a teacher is you disseminate information, give them information. Arguably, the most important part of teaching is not the information aspect of it. You're teaching skills.
Yeah.
So when I was a drama teacher, what you were doing is you were teaching skills to kids so they knew how to be creative. They knew how to structure and create improvisations, long-form improvisations, plays, how to be more realistic on stage, etc. What you're doing is teaching people how to think critically. The problem comes if we don't do that. These skills are not intuitive. They have to be learned.
That's interesting.
Just like the dog not barking and jumping when they get excited. That's intuitive. That's their instinct. In order for you to expect your dog to behave in a way that you want them to behave, you have to train that. It doesn't just happen. It has to be learned. It has to be learned.
Yes, because I think the recognition of logic is intuitive, but you're right, because this is going counter against what we were just describing about that tribal evolutionary impulse to band together for survival. And but yes, breaking away, pattern disruption is what's a pattern disruption? Most people aren't going to do it. The majority, I think about it like this, the majority of people are going to be like water. They're going to take the path.
What is going on? Jesus Christ. When I press the wheel, it's supposed to play.
Be foolish.
Of course. Now, this is just like the fucking stream with trying to show StreamYard that the fucking echo doesn't work, and then it works.
Then wise. There's risk that it comes with.
What is... Okay, whatever. Yeah, and so, yeah, Matthew was saying that, it's easy to censor Nazis and force medication on illiterate hillbillies. It is sad, though, that the illiterate hillbillies are mostly correct compared to the overeducated blue-haired freaks. Crazy, right? Not really. Because this is what is not welcome in education. Thoughts like this, well, more so, thoughts like this are very relevant.
Breaking away from the group, I sat down with Peterson, Dr. Peterson. He described it as being the zebra with like orange stripes, right? Like the reason zebras blend in is because they all have the same stripes. White and black stripes aren't going to cause you to blend into the grass. You're blending into the herd. I think you are on to something there. That's what I'm trying to delve into with what I've been writing and trying to put it into to words.
Because when I look at some of these kids, and you look at some people who debate these kids on campuses, and you see the kids get angry and upset, and then invariably the comments on YouTube is like, "Oh, kid gets owned" or whatever else, and I go,
"Got him."
I think we all now need to be a little bit more adult. I've been guilty of this. I hold my hands up and go, "It's not the fault of the kid; it's the fault of the system producing it." Because if it's just one kid being produced who...
And so, like, when the Ben Shapiro era of talking to college kids was around, that was like when I was in college. And so it was a different kind of thing where we did, in fact, expect people to have an idea of what they're talking about, what they're pushing forth, and so on and so forth. But now, yeah, that's a wild thing. That's a wild thing, but it's too short, and nobody's on TikTok, so I just I'll let you YouTubers just stay on YouTube. But now I forget what the fuck I was saying. I forget.
Can't argue, can't think critically. You can go, well, the kid wasn't listening, or maybe maybe they weren't a good student.
I was saying that at that time, there was a different culture of what was expected of students. And now that we're seeing that if you lose one of those debates, that it's not because you didn't prepare enough. It's because you just do not have the critical thinking skills. You might have the IQ, but you don't have the critical thinking skills to engage on the topic.
Whatever it may be. But the fact that we're producing legions of people who can't think critically, that's not the people's fault who are getting produced. It's the fault of the system. And what we need actually is a radical overhaul.
And it's also the fault of the adults who won't contend with them or allow them to be contended with for fear of the emotional damage, or they won't be able to handle it, even when we're talking about college students who are adults.
Right. And even in the high school, when we saw those kids literally cannot understand words that they just said, they want to hide that because there's no incentive to make it better.
Well, that's why I was asking you about why college administrators cave to this stuff, right? Because I think within that, there's actually power that they don't realize they have, because those are also teachable moments, right? When a bunch of kids demand some kind of readjustment of the entire system, if you have strong leadership in that moment that communicates that is not how this works, that can teach those kids something. And I think there's been an abdication of responsibility on the part of the adults, I think, which is what Francis is trying to get in that way as well.
Yep.
Would you agree?
I agree. But I also think that there's a distinction to be made. Again, as I said earlier, if yes, you're as a parent, you should be very much on top of what your kids are doing in school. But if they're getting good grades, they're getting passed along, then that implies that even though public school was never great, like we all know basic shit because of the public school curriculum. Why would you think that you're getting all A's and you can't read? Why would you think that? So there's definitely blame on the parents, but it really has to mainly be looking at the teachers and the administrators. And then again, when we look at the teachers, we see the ones that are doing the right thing, they get kicked out, which leaves us with the administrators.
Yeah, for sure. It goes back to that. I just can't stop thinking about this example with Sam Richards and how there's this fear of all of these problems are going to have so many variables, though. There's the variable of liability. Well, it's being streamed on YouTube. Okay, well, let's take that off the table. What about the classrooms where it's not being streamed on YouTube or being shared? Is that occurring? I'm sure it must be happening. I haven't seen it personally. It doesn't mean it's not happening, but I think I agree with you. It's safe to say that the majority of cases, it's not being fostered.
And it's also as well, not only do we not encourage kids and young people to think critically, we also fetishize emotions. So if you're having a debate and you say something that I profoundly disagree with, or you criticize a point and I get offended because I hold that point dear, suddenly it becomes acceptable to be offended or angry or upset, and I'm the one in the right and you're the one in the wrong.
Yeah, that's how it gets weaponized. I was just thinking about, probably the next.
That may not be as applicable to people in this space, because we are constantly debating, breaking down debates and all that kind of stuff. But your normal, average, everyday person who just goes to work and has a family, they're not thinking about things in this way. But as long as they have that strong foundation of going through high school and getting that understanding, and then continuing to look at the world and learn things as you get older, whether you went to college or not. College, I mean, they teach you some stuff, but like, ugh. I mean, there's that, like, in terms of how I put together larger ideas. Like I talk a lot now, but I'm much better at writing and typing than I am at talking. And I think without college, that definitely wouldn't be the case. So there's definitely good things from going to be educated. It's not like you go to college and they just teach you all bullshit. But the cost, both monetarily and on society, doesn't seem to be worth it.
Video I do is looking back at you talking to Alex O'Connor, I think, and he was trying to make the case
Alex O'Connor.
as the hate speech laws are justifiable. Well, because we have libel laws or defamation laws. So can't you imagine, Konstantin, a case in which you are actually causing emotional distress or harm to someone because of this medical condition? I mean, and I think you handled that well. You were kind of like, what are you? They're just two completely different things. But so I thought it just reminded me of that. I thought that was interesting.
I agree with you. I'm great. I've forgotten we had that conversation. I like Alex. We get on very well, actually. I don't remember that bit, but it was a long time ago.
Yeah, I just stumbled on it. I hadn't seen it before. Like, that's interesting.
And you're someone who really thinks about this very carefully. Do you have thoughts on how to develop critical thinking skills, how to teach critical thinking skills?
Yes.
Yeah, we just go back to the way that we always did it.
So with martial arts, there's this concept of like the kata, right? So, and it's when you're in a real street fight, or for example, you can't stop and think. It's all subconscious. But the kata breaks it down into rehearsable movements like a dance. So I was trying to come up with a methodology that could be taught for that portion of it, because there's multiple facets to this. The more I thought about it, I realized critical thinking is not just for debates. It's for navigating these daily games that we're engaging in, whether or not we realize it. When I was at that school, navigating what I just described to you, that was a game that was being played on multiple levels, and you can anticipate what you're trying. It's not necessarily you're trying to win, you're trying to achieve the ideal outcome and recognize.
That's what I'm saying, Glow. That's what I'm saying. Are you just talking shit? Do you really not understand what I'm saying here? We don't have an IQ problem. We have an education problem. You just saw the video where the kid said, "Oh, I feel like an idiot now," because he has the ability to think. He just doesn't have the practice on the skill of critical thinking. That's a different conversation for a different day. This is not about people who are unable to do things. These are people who have not been taught how to do the things that they need to do. Does everybody understand? We're not laughing at, ha, dumb kids. Does everybody understand that that's not what this is?
Where the best move is on the board, that I'm trying to figure out, okay, so, and a lot of that is nonverbal. So the signals that were being sent to me, for example, that no one came up to me and said, we want you to be fired for because I disagree with, but the body language around J.K. Rowling, I noticed it. There's a lot of communication that's nonverbal. Perhaps even most communication is nonverbal, and people don't say what they really think at the copy machine, what your colleague really thinks, but they telegraph it. Okay, so, but once we do enter the verbal, what is the kata that will allow us to navigate this? So I try and formulate a method that will help with that. For me, I describe it as a sort of a flaw filter. Where
it's definitely important to have an understanding of where where people are on a certain level. It doesn't measure everything, but what it measures is important. Is what and again, we're not dealing necessarily. I mean, this might be a separate issue, but what I'm talking about is not the fact that we're seeing IQ scores go down. I mean, maybe that's the case. I mean, maybe, it's all the third world. I don't know, but just American-born children. I doubt that the IQ levels are going down. It's simply the ability to use your brain in the way that you need to navigate life.
It's not so much. I come at it as though this is the least bad option I've been able to find. Can you genuinely offer anything better? And it's important to recognize the least bad option because, as Churchill said, democracy is the worst form of government except for all the others. There's going to be flaws, and that's a method people take or a strategy people take, just pointing out the flaws. That doesn't disprove you have a better alternative. So I'm listening for the alternative. I imagine kind of this red light bulb that is sitting on the desk, and I'm listening. I'm just this filter, not really taking a strong position necessarily. It depends. And when that light bulb goes off at the first flaw, now you're ready to make a move. I lay out a strategy for that, but a lot of it is demeanor. How do you develop the demeanor? And then that gets into the laws of narrative. I think a lot of understanding these dynamics, you need to understand the laws of narrative to understand and think critically about dynamics like we've been describing with why are these moves being made with people teaming up in this way or not breaking away from their team. They're not thinking critically, their team comes first. A lot of that.
As soon as I went to show you, it paused it. And so now I don't fucking remember what he said.
They're not thinking critically, their team comes first. A lot of their team, why are these moves being made with
yeah. So the understanding that how to craft a story is important to being able to tie different ideas together. You need to be able to tell the story of how this meets that, and leads you to your conclusion. That's why we see that people who are, smart can get into a debate scenario and falter because they just know what they know instead of being able to use the moment to come up with something fresh. Hey, shout out to Box with the big 5. Thank you. So very, very much, sir. There you go. Yeah. Every donation comes with a treat for the Overlord. Thank you. Said A students work for B students in companies made by the C students in buildings dedicated to the D students. How do we change it? I think we get more people like this incentivized to continue doing what they're already doing and get rid of the people who are doing the opposite. Shout out to Box. Thank you very, very much, sir.
Teaming up in this way or not breaking away from their team. They're not thinking critically, their team comes first. A lot of that, perhaps it's because I spent 10 years studying screenwriting and filmmaking and the laws of narrative, but a lot of these lessons are relevant, and I think it gave me the basis for what I use today. So hopefully that book will be something that people can use to develop critical think, but also how to navigate these daily games. These verbal
Well,
chess.
it's interesting you bring up daily games because it's kind of how I think about it. Like, if you think about life in general, the closer you are to the truth of whatever the issue is, the more functionally better off you're going to be in that situation, right? So if your understanding of how to run a business is as close to the truth as possible, you're going to be better at running a business. If your understanding of what the truth of a YouTube channel is and how to run one, you're going to be better at doing that. If your understanding of what
And there's a lot there to learn and nobody to teach you.
Relationships are like is closer to the truth, that's much better for you than having your own emotional experience that drives you away from the truth and towards confirming your own biases or whatever else. And that's what I think a lot of people don't realize is truth has it's not just a like morality thing, it has a tremendous value. And so when we argue about what the truth is about politics or philosophy or society, that's the place from which we're coming, and that's why it's so valuable, right?
Yeah.
And so Jason saying, I bribe my daughter to get good grades. She brings home B's, and I say good, but A's are better. When she gets A's, she gets whatever she wants. Sounds like good parenting. But the problem is when you see an A or a B, you understand that as how A and B were used in our or in the before time, maybe not the same time, before they changed it. Now, you, as long as you are in the physically in the class, you're probably going to get an A. This, of course, varies teacher and school, but the problem areas that we're talking about, there's entire school districts, which as long as you're there, we'll give you the grade, pass you on, no child left behind. So make sure you're checking their homework.
Philosophy or society, that's the place from which we're coming, and that's why it's so valuable, right?
Yeah, and that's interesting that you put it that way, that there is a true way to run a business, because postmodernism would claim that, which is all about truth claims being the result of social conditioning. Many would claim there is no true way to run a business. It's up to me, and all interpretations are equally valid, which goes back to
how many postmodernists have a business that they run?
Right. So and I think that it's such an important. It's such an important
even if they do,
dynamic that when you're encountering these students.
Bro, I didn't even press it that time. And every time it happens, I fucking forget what he says.
It's such an.
So it's a YouTube.
I think that it's such an important. It's such an important dynamic that when you're encountering these support in a business.
The postmodernist. Yeah. So the only reason that a postmodernist who's applying those things to their business, how that can survive, is because of how strong the culture is behind that. Yet people don't care about anything else but, are you on my team? If you're really on my team, if you're repping the team, then yeah, I'll give you all the money you need. Are you right about anything? Do you offer a good product or service? It don't really matter.
Social conditioning, many would claim there is no true way to run a business. It's up to me, and all interpretations are equally valid, which goes back to
how many postmodernists have a business that they run.
Right. So and I think that it's such an important dynamic that when you're encountering these students, many of them are arguing postmodernism. They don't know what postmodernism is. And try debating someone on postmodernism. Like they'll avoid it and they'll say, I don't want to get into that.
Well, it's like trying to nail Jello to the wall, right? But you see, you take any example.
Jello to the wall.
You talked about Marshall.
Is that a common phrase? I don't think that's a common phrase. Now I've heard nailing something to the wall. Is Jello the line? Help me out here. There's no way that's the fucking idiom.
Martial arts. I imagine, I'm not a martial artist, but I imagine it's true that there are different ways to throw a punch and there are different ways to do this. But there is a truth.
But there's one punch that's most effective. Our bones can only structure in one way. Given your body composition, there's only one way you can get the most momentum in that position.
Right.
So that's an important distinction.
And this is what I think a lot of this dynamic that we now have in terms of the way people communicate is, I think actually most people I see online are behaving like postmodernists.
Yeah.
Almost everybody, left and right.
So,
and I mean, look at your. That's lagging, not me. Things that need to be taught: reading, writing, basic math, problem solving, debate, consistency, and cooking. And in the last, what would you say, 20 years or so, 20-ish years, the most basic, the reading, writing, and basic math, they've completely flipped on their head. You remember cursive? Zoomers don't. I'm actually too young for home ec. They had home ec as a class when I was a freshman. By the time I was a senior, they got rid of it.
Spoke to Destiny the other day. I made a video critiquing it, and there's already a response video where I compared it to postmodernism, his response. People are claiming, well, no, Warren's claiming it's postmodernism, but that has to do with truth claims. But when Destiny says to you, well, what is a lot? It's always changing, therefore you shouldn't be concerned about it. What do you mean unprecedented? Like, what do you even mean by when you're claiming it is or it is not a lot? That is a truth claim. So, and maybe I should have said it's similar to talking to a postmodernist when they do that. Everything's always changing, so we can't expect a standard. What tradition?
Nice. Ted Mosby, he would love that.
Can you point to a single tradition that hasn't changed? Traditions don't matter to a postmodernist. It's all, and it's absolutely the opposite to how I view, perhaps it's because of my background in narrative, where I do believe like these stories, these archetypes.
Same with woodshop. They got rid of it. We had it in middle school, and I never, I took some type of, it wasn't woodshop, but it was some type of mechanical thing where you're working on it. It wasn't specifically woodshop, but it was in middle school. But yeah, then again, high school, I was a freshman. They had the shop teacher, and yeah, they had all that. And by the time I was old enough to sign up for those classes, they didn't exist anymore. And so I started high school in 2008, graduated in 2012. That was my college. Started high school in 2005, graduated in 2008, and then started college in 2008 and graduated in 2012. And I've heard multiple people, like not a lot, but many different people name 2013 specifically as the year that things in universities were drastically different. So I don't know what it is, but there is at least 3 teachers who believe that 2013 was the year that education met its end. It's been failing for a while, but 2013 was it.
Are not just the results of social conditioning. They will resonate for deeper reasons.
You know, when I got taught postmodernism at university, I remember just sitting there and going, this doesn't make sense. That's literally what I thought. Because when I asked them to explain postmodernism, they couldn't really explain what postmodernism is.
Yes, and I, in my art class, required to take modern art, right? Oh, we go in there, she's explaining to me, very nice professor, but she's explaining to me that the banana nailed to the wall is of equal aesthetic beauty as the David, Michelangelo, or whatever it is. There are no objective standards for beauty. Beauty is purely a social construct, which actually goes against.
When it comes to art, like, okay, I'll give a little bit more leeway to when people are like, oh, a kindergartner could have done that, but they didn't. Okay, so the uniqueness in and of itself is the art. Whatever, but at least that is somewhat logical. Whether I agree or disagree, that's somewhat logical. But art is inherently not the same thing as math and science. Yeah, it's not nailed, it's taped.
Biology, that there has to be a yardstick that drives us to see a hierarchy of beauty, so we have a target to pursue.
But the interesting thing that I find about postmodernism, and why I think it's so prevalent today, is that you can only really understand postmodernism if you're disconnected from reality.
And every postmodernist you speak to claims what you're describing is not postmodernism. And that gets very frustrating.
That's not real communism. Real communism's never been tried. And so this is a real picture of a real banana with one real strip of duct tape taped to the wall of a museum, I think. I mean, we could look at it. I don't give a shit where. Probably the Beaumont or some bullshit. And somebody, actually, I don't remember what exactly happened. Let's go back and see what happened with the banana taped to the mall. Well, I guess it was sold for $6.2 million. What do we got? So, a conceptual artwork comedian, a banana duct taped to the wall, sold for $6.2 million at Sotheby's in November 24 to crypto entrepreneur. Oh, so basically money laundering. All high art is money laundering. There might be like a few people who really, exactly, you know, there might be some people who are genuinely into, just weird type of individual pieces. You really think that a motherfucker wants? If you wanted it that bad, then just copy it. But it's not the real one. Liberty said, I like modern art, but I don't think it's really art as much as it's just fun to look at. Well, I think that the argument would be the fun makes it art. The fact that it invokes fun means that you had an emotional reaction to the art, and therefore it did what it did, and it is in fact art. So I did 1 year at community college where first semester I took a philosophy course given by an adjunct professor. He taught me proper critical thinking like Warren does. I was out of college when I saw the bell. Yeah, I mean, I told you guys I did that first podcast that I had, the audio only with the Minion logo, the Aw Really podcast. I did that with, I did an episode with my college philosophy professor, and it was really interesting in terms of what I learned about, because I took his class when I was, so probably 2010 is when I took his class, and then it's probably about 2016, 2017 when I was talking to him. And so because there was so much flux in what I was thinking when I was in college, I went into college a Bible thumping Christian and came out pretty much the opposite. And so by a few more years to figure things out. Now I'm still a Bernie bro at this point, but that's better than the militant atheist. It allows you to see, oh, there's more to this thinking thing than I'm even used to. And just seeing that, at least for me, it's like, oh, I got some catching up to do. I want to learn more. I guess that's not everybody.
This is the technique that I see the most often. We know what straw manning is. They claim, no, you're misrepresenting my argument. But what will happen, Destiny, for example, he'll misrepresent your argument, claim, no, what you're describing is critical race theory. That's not what critical.
He would have been the same as everybody else. He would have been the same as everybody else because he is the same as everybody else. Unless you can legitimately explain why he stopped talking about millionaires, then that tells you everything you need to know.
Race theory is. All critical race theory is thinking critically about the structures of group dynamics and power in the past and how that's, and they make it sound
if your chat's deleted, you will see it say your chat has been deleted.
Completely harmless. So circumvent, say, fine, going off the nonverbal thing, then what I'm talking about, call it whatever you want, is what led those students at Emerson to do this, and what led that professor to tell us to surrender our white privilege. That's what I want to examine, the ideology that leads to that. You can call it whatever you want, and they're going to try and go off on this thing. Just keep them on the rails.
Absolutely, because the more you investigate it, you go, oh, you have to be.
It's not an us thing. It's an us thing now, not a Bernie thing anymore. What does that mean?
Disconnected from reality in order for this to seem like it makes sense, which is why discussions on Twitter and social media are so postmodern, is because they're fundamentally disconnected from reality. Ridiculous ideas can live in social media because they're not applied to the real world, because they're in the ether, they're in the digital age, if you know what I mean.
Yes. That's why I love the format that I am playing with because it
First of all, this is the Triggernometry Podcast. He's just the guest, and I've been. This is what we are 52 minutes into that, and we are 2.5 hours into my stream. There's a thing called fair use. So when there's a video, if I were to just play the video, then yes, that would be misappropriating. But by adding my own commentary and showing other videos and bringing in the context, that is what we call fair use. I learned you something today, baby girl.
Convince the strategy where they'll claim no one's saying that, no one's making that argument. Well, I'll show you the words coming out of their mouth and then comment on it and then cut to them doing it again. My favorite video I've ever made was the postmodern professor talking with Joe Rogan. And it was like, you couldn't, if you described it, no one would believe you. So
nothing else wants
I
to
can't, this is a narrative, a law of narrative.
Karen.
The central law of screenwriting, show, don't tell. I can't tell you.
Yo, that was my fucking band name in my high school band. I gotta show you guys that stuff. One of these days for an after party, I gotta show you that stuff. But yeah, show, don't tell. All one word, all lowercase, because, you know, it was 2005 in Central Jersey.
The central law of screenwriting, show, don't tell. I can't tell you about it because you won't believe it. I can show you though.
Absolutely, because
I have some.
We've had Adam.
I have a couple videos on Facebook, but I'll have to get them off. I'll have to download them. But we did do like a 6 or 8 song EP. That's, in my opinion, not bad. I mean, I did do all the vocals, guitar, and bass, but I think I did pretty well.
Corona on the show many times, and one of the points Adam makes is like the most sensible people are those people who work with their hands. Like, we can talk about postmodernism.
Bernie wasn't about Bernie. It was about money and politics and corruption, which is why Trump won. Even the right saw it. They just picked a moron. Bernie is old and can no longer take up that flag. Okay. So then how is it about Bernie? Right? Isn't that what you were, what did you say? Yeah, like saying Bernie would still do a good job. Like, you have no idea. You just have no idea. And we can see that he is very easily pressured, that he just let himself, oh, well, I guess, I'm winning the primaries, but, Hillary's your turn. The millionaires and billionaires. Oh, wait. Now I'm a millionaire. So just the billionaires. This is not an honest person. And how much do you think of his democratic socialist bullshit would actually make it through Congress? That's the leader you want? That's the leader you want? So if you're saying we must progress, then throw Bernie away and progress.
And go, oh, the aesthetic beauty of a banana nailed to the wall as compared to a Caravaggio. But you can't go to your carpenter and go, what is a centimeter?
Right. Find where the rubber meets the road. So like we were just doing with critical race theory, find a tangible point. That professor said this to me in that room.
Is this a reference?
The trans conversation debate. We're talking about laws, structuring laws. Right? Just go right there in the debate. Not the theory portion of it or how I feel about it. It's like how.
Nope. They asked Bernie to jump under the bus and he did it.
How are we going to actually implement this where the rubber meets the road?
Warren, do you have any thoughts on why humanity is at a point now where this way of thinking has become appealing to people? What is it about modernity or the condition of humanity at this moment that means that people are capable of thinking this is a useful way to think?
Life is too easy. Life is too easy. And I'm not complaining. I love the ease of modern life. I love that everything is delivered. Everything is immediate on. Can you hear me when I freeze? Can you hear me when I freeze, or is it just freeze and then you can hear me when I come back? Fuck! I forgot what I was saying now. What did I just pull up? God damn it! I'm foggy. Oh yeah, Bernie being thrown on the bus. That's what I mean about the inability to be that guy. He folded under the pressures of the DNC. What happens when Iran is breathing down his neck? You know what I mean? He might still be the best DNC has now.
We had a big transformation.
Actively consistent as long as he hasn't had any pressure. Nobody gave a fuck about what Bernie Sanders was doing until they did, and when they did, he stopped. Do you understand that like somebody can be an outsider, and just like nobody gives a fuck? Like, okay, Bernie, go do your own thing. You want to have what is it, Vermont? Then go do whatever you want over there. Small state, you're not affecting anything else. Now, when you're running for president, okay, now it's a very different thing. So you're implying that how he was when he had no pressure is going to be exactly the same as he is when he has the most pressure that he can have. But we saw an intermediate level of pressure that was rather low, and he folded. So what the fuck are you talking about?
In the 60s, my parents' generation. The Vietnam War had a big impact. Postmodernism, introduced from France, became very appealing because of that transformation. That generation became the administrators. That's the dean at the college, that generation. That's my parents, right? They're on board with all, it's fun talking to them because it quickly dismantles, but they're still.
Iran, there's a country that, we're worried kind of about their nuclear capabilities. They've enriched uranium. And so last year there was this thing called the 12-Day War, where we were promised that was no longer a problem. But it is. And you're claiming that with Israel, with Ukraine and Russia, and with Iran, that old fuck wouldn't have folded. Okay, Fantasyland. Imagination.
And what was the transformation? Why did the Vietnam War have this
Well,
effect?
because people viewed the Vietnam War, right or wrong, as a big injustice and a miscarriage of power, and it put them on edge. We had World War II, very different. The narrative has shifted drastically.
You realize, Waco, that people said this exact same thing about Donald Trump for his entire life, right? It's almost like who you are as a person is not the same thing as who you are as president of the fucking the United States and ostensibly the free world.
It's so different than from World War II to there. That, I think, culturally, music, the counterculture, and there's cool things about all that. Like, I like Jimi Hendrix. I think that was, yes, the turning point that has now.
You down, Box? Let's do it. I'm down.
Led to the generation in control, and now we're seeing a completely new generation, the Destiny, his audience, who are pushing for they're claiming we need to do what they did to Hunter Biden because, I was listening to his moderator try and talk to Destiny, concerned about the radicalization, violent threats, being like, why do we need to make things up when they're doing things wrong already? They believe there's enough to point where this guy believes if they're doing things wrong, we should be able to point.
You do realize that presidents don't normally take their honeymoon in Russia, right? How do you get, like, this is very reminiscent of the kids who are walking through life as if they can read, sort of know the words, and don't. Excuse me. My apologies. The USSR. Much better. Like, how are you a real person? How are you a real... I don't believe that you really think this way. You have to be a troll, right? That's what I'm saying. Like, it's because Waco... Well, last night we were watching Star Wars, and Waco was just acting like a normal person, like Waco used to act like a normal person. I don't know what happened. But she gets in here, and it's just, hate you. I don't know. So you guys are like Homelander. All the hateful memes are too much for you. I guess so.
They believe there's enough to point where this guy believes if they're doing things wrong, we should be able to point to it, which seems reasonable. If you're going to try and arrest someone, you should be able to point to something. Destiny's response is,
I think, yes. I think Waco is either female or gay. I think so. I don't believe any straight man acts the way that Waco acts, especially with the difference. Like those of you who were in the chat last night for a movie. Was it? Yeah. Oh, yeah. Because nobody ever disagrees with me in this chat, right?
Stupid.
Cope harder. And last night we were watching Star Wars, and so it wasn't political, and you were acting like a normal person. And so to me, having that differential is feminine behavior. So you're either a woman or a gay. Either is fine. I'm just saying that's what I think. Oh my goodness. Shout out to Bucks, my VP. All right, let's pull this down and get Marty his treat. Thank you so very much, sir. I love those dark colors. Oh, it looks good. Bucks said there's this idea of clean politicians free of money influence and Israel influence, absolutely sovereign. You don't have to vote for a different party. Just vote gooder in the primary. Vote these corrupt thumbs out. Dilly. This is what I had heard when I was getting into politics, and people talk, vote local. And I just, maybe it just hadn't been explained properly, or I don't know. But for whatever reason, I just thought, I don't really care about that. Maybe if I was in the town that I grew up in, maybe. But I didn't see the connection because I was fresh out of college, maybe a couple years out. I was living in an apartment in a town that I had no connection to, other than living there for the couple of years that I was there. And so I didn't see the value, but understanding that the bottom of the totem pole, so to speak, is the foundation. The stronger your local government is, the harder it is for the next level to be corrupt, because there's good people to prevent that. I'm not saying it's gonna you're gonna have clean politicians in the way that Box is talking about it here, but we can try to do the best we can, and you gotta vote gooder. Thank you, sir. The actual Waco people? Oh, yeah. very much. But it's, yeah, right. I mean, that would be one thing if I did that, but half of you disagree with me on what we're talking about right now. And I'm not calling you women. Unless you act like a woman. Sorry. Fair enough. David said, we need people of actual integrity from the lowest form of government to the highest. And the higher you go, the higher the standard should be. Exactly. I apologize for whatever came of the fact that I didn't respect local elections, local politicians. Whatever that did, which I'm assuming would be negative, I apologize. Right. We can only do what we can do, right? Shout out again to our new sponsor of the stream. Thank you, sir. Very, very, very much appreciated.
Which seems reasonable. If you're going to try and arrest someone, you should be able to point to something. Destiny's response is, no, but they're too clever for that, so we have to make it up. It's literally like, I'm going to make a video about it and show you him saying that. Again, show, don't tell. People won't believe it. But they're saying we need to lock them up at any cost. It doesn't matter because for the greater good, essentially.
And that's why these skills are so important, because they are a really effective tool against radicalization. And we've seen people, young people particularly, be radicalized into progressive leftist movements. We're now seeing people get radicalized on the right.
Yes.
And these tools are very effective for fighting back against.
Almost at $100 for the week. Thank you so very, very much.
Against that.
Yes, understanding the laws of narrative hopefully will help with that, I think. But we should touch on this. I hope I didn't alarm you with the death threat thing. The guy who was kind of going a little bit crazy. All right, well, I don't know if you saw that.
I did. I have good security, so I wasn't too worried about it.
Yeah, but what was interesting about that is that I've had people since then messaging me saying this guy has been harassing me for a long time, even on the left. Tilly Middlehurst, who kind of rose to notoriety from debating Charlie Kirk, like the opposite, emailed me the other day. She's like, this guy, thank you for posting that. This guy has been creeping me out. Like, people are really concerned. But I had no idea about any of that. But that is, but you're right. That is the movement that's happening.
Well, I mean, one of the things with the internet as well is I think it's created a space for activating a lot of people who are just mentally not very well. And people are able to develop these kind of parasocial relationships that are both positive in inverted commas and negative, in the sense that some people think that they're in a relationship with an OnlyFans model to which they send money, and other people think they are in a relationship with somebody who they watch online that they don't like. And remember, what was that movie with Robert De Niro about baseball? Was it called The Fan? Have you ever seen that?
Robert De Niro
Yeah,
in baseball? Is he talking about... I feel like he's talking about Moneyball and mixed up. I don't really know where he's going, and I can't think of a baseball movie with De Niro. Weird. Box said I voted third party and write-in for the last 3 presidential elections. Shout out to Jank's nephew's uncle. We got that. And press 1 to vote Lucci for mayor of Agartha. Okay, I'll take it. I am the captain now. World War 11. Diving back in.
About baseball. Was it called The Fan? Have you ever seen that?
Yeah, I think it's called The Fan. I think
where
so.
he basically, De Niro is a big fan of this baseball player.
Yeah.
You remember this?
Yeah.
And he sort of...
Where are we? Give me the fucking wiki. Fan, 1981. Psychological therapy. Let's make sure it's the right one. See, wait, did it say 31? 1981. I knew it. Well, yo. '96. That sounds a little more like what we're talking about. Okay. 96. Sports psychologist. Robert De Niro and Wesley Snipes. Homeboy's troubled baseball fan whose favorite team is the Giants has signed a $40 million contract. His favorite player, Bobby Ryburn, his ex-wife Ellen, obtains a restraining order after Gail leaves their son to attend a sales meeting. He's fired from his job as a knife salesman. He begins obsessing over Rayburn. When Rayburn suffers a chest injury that causes fans to be upset by his underperformance, Gil antagonizes fans who jeer him. Oh, getting gay. Also in conflict with a teammate because both men want to keep jersey number World War 11. Gil, thinking Primo is to blame for Rayburn's performance, confronts him in the hotel sauna in an attempt to persuade him to... This is an interesting movie. Let's do this. I'll just take that. So I like to take notes for, stuff like this. This is exactly the type of movie that, I said I had no idea about. And that's because my parents were not keeping up with popular movies in 1996. So that was right around the age where I'm starting to, go to friends' houses and their parents are letting them watch rated R movies and stuff. That was right around that time where I'm starting to, get my own American pop culture. But before that, I didn't know. Where are we at? Okay, we got that. Matthew said Trump was the only real option last election. Tell the DNC to put up someone decent for once. Maybe some of us would vote for him. Notice I said him. Ironic that MAGA thinks itself as morally upright when they are some of the worst people in the nation. I agree with Box. This is the way to put it. If Trump is MAGA, MAGA is not a thing. I don't think Trump is MAGA, but it seems like I've lost that rhetorical war. And now, brother, thank you so very, very much. I'll let you guys. And so that's what I'm saying. If we hit the fucking goal, this is what we had. This is what it looked like last night, and I actually figured out a better way to set it up. Paste. What the fuck? Copy image link. So this was the setup. So I'm sitting in my here, I'm gonna pull this down. I'm sitting in bed, and we got the movie going, and you can see my reaction up in the corner, but I'm not all like, look at me about the movie. We have the YouTube chat if you want to stay there on the where people come in, and then we had the Rumble chat where everybody was chilling, and again, Wago Mind acting like a normal fucking person. Crazy. Derek, so the best movie to come out in the 90s is With Me in It? What movie is that? I had a friend that I went to school with a kid who was in You've Got Mail. He was an extra. I forgot about that when I was watching the movie, and then remembered it later. But yeah, he's in. He would have to leave early from kindergarten. Crazy. MAGA is like Bernie. The idea behind the moment. It's the idea behind the moment. The idea behind the people. I agree with you. But I think we have people, if we're accepting MAGA is not just Donald Trump, I think there's a lot of people who we can see the direction of, okay, the guy, in this case Trump, but we can use this person, that person, that person. On the left, who's replacing Bernie in that way? Who is it? You're not in fucking Boogie Nights. No fucking way. Give me a timestamp. You are not in that fucking. I don't believe you. Give me a timestamp. I gotta pee.
Nero is a big fan of this baseball player. Yeah. You remember this? Yeah. And he sort of feels like they're in a relationship, and he's trying to help him out, and he ends up doing all kinds of crazy stuff. And I think what the internet has done is it's kind of created a tool for weaponizing mental illness. And if you were like an alien that came down from another planet and read the comments on the average tweet, and you just went through the comments, you would just go, schizophrenia, psychosis, you just go bum, 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 bum. Because, I always say this, like, there's a lot of mentally ill people, and they're mostly on the internet. And that's what I think. And I'm not saying this in a disparaging or derogatory way. I just think there are a lot of people that use politics now as well to kind of fulfill all these things and deal with issues that they need real help with, to be honest.
Yeah, we were talking about this just a moment ago, and I forgot a major component of this, which I think is perceived value. So like when I started to get into the space of viral video, I recognized, whoa, there's a little more powerful than the ability to connect with an audience, which is one reason that school fears it so much, because you can't buy it. Brands try, that's what sponsors are. But and I think there's this psychological phenomenon where if there's 10 people looking up, you're going to look up and see, and something occurs with online people, celebrities in general, this perceived value. And you take any of these personalities, they'll say something, and it's because of the surrounding narrative, and we can't separate the characters. So we're seeing it through the lens of that narrative. And I'm just thinking, like, because I was struggling this myself when I first started. I was like, no one's going to care if I make such a mundane observation. But a mundane observation in the mouth of someone else, they're viewing it through that narrative, and it takes on a whole nother meaning. I think that has something to do with it. There's something deeply psychological about it, where you reach a point where someone is famous for the sake of being famous at that point. It's like a struggle for them until then. You see actors kind of break through that threshold, Until that point, it's all about the roles. But once they cross that threshold of perceived value, we want to watch them because it's Leonardo DiCaprio, whoever it is, because they're famous. That's a whole nother threshold. And there's like something that actually switches psychologically.
And do you think that
comes around a lot more easily, for better or worse, with social media? And you can be in a much smaller group that has that looking towards the same thing. Like you said, if people look up. If everybody is, when we had just the Hollywood A-listers that were the celebrities, that was one thing. That ain't really a thing anymore. I mean, there's people who are grandfathered in, like Leo and like a Tom Cruise and stuff. But who are the new movie stars that are celebrities at that level? Ain't nobody left.
It's the point at which those people now feel like they have to have opinions on stuff that probably otherwise they wouldn't express.
What I think happens is that they're climbing the ladder to that threshold by those opinions.
Okay.
And then once they're invested, that's their business. And now they are going to defend those opinions because
we at least tried. I agree, but we at least tried. He said he was going to drain the swamp. We at least tried. Your side was like, no, don't drain the swamp. So if that's your goal, one party got there first.
it's not their opinions they're defending, it's their business.
Warren, it's been great to have you
Not
on.
that
Before we head
Trump.
to Substack, where our audience get to ask you their questions, what's the one thing you think we're not talking about that we should be?
Double slit experiment in quantum physics. Are you familiar with the double slit experiment?
Are you, Francis?
Really?
Check it out. I won't.
Wait. Put one in the chat if you know what the double slit experiment is. That's crazy. Nobody who talks about technology and current events, I always do this. So one of you don't know. Really? Okay, so I did say, yeah. So all right, well, we'll see what he explains, and then I'll show you if he doesn't.
I'll take up time.
No, take up the time.
Yeah. Well, I have this chapter.
The double slit experiment
In the book Where Logic Ends, and it's the one that's sticking in my mind the most because there's so much about reality that is illogical. So as someone who's striving to be logical, how do I contend with where logic ends? And quantum mechanics and physics seems to be indicating that the very nature of reality behaves in a way at the atomic level that defies logic. The double slit experiment, they take an electron. You would expect these two slits, imagine a paintball gun, it's firing between these. You would imagine.
We'll just do this.
Professor Dave here. Let's talk about the double slit experiment.
He knows a lot about the science stuff. Professor Dave explains.
In learning about the first few discoveries that led to the development of quantum mechanics, we discussed wave-particle duality. So we understand that both light and matter behave as both particles and waves. But we glossed over some of the technical details, so let's zoom in for a moment. In 1801, Thomas Young performed experiments where light was passed through a plane with two slits in it, striking a screen beyond. The diffraction and interference patterns that resulted clearly supported the wave model of light, with the brighter bands representing constructive interference and the darker bands representing destructive interference, with the width of the bands being a function of the frequency of the light. Later in the century, Maxwell showed that light is a wave of oscillating electric and magnetic fields. So it seemed as though the case was closed on the declaration of light as waves. But as we said, in 1905, Einstein solved the problem of the photoelectric effect by assigning particle nature to light. Thus, wave-particle duality was born. Later, de Broglie proposed that particles must therefore...
All right, I don't even know all the fucking bullshit behind it, but okay, so
From this, it was shown that a beam of electrons exhibits diffraction,
Wait,
what
a
we
little
just
bit.
displayed born. Later, de Broglie proposed that particles must therefore also display wave-like behavior, and this was shown to be true in an experiment, just like Young's more than 100 years prior. This modern version is what we are typically referring to when we talk about the double-slit experiment. From this, it was shown that a beam of electrons exhibits diffraction and interference patterns, just like light does. This demonstrates the wave-like properties of electrons, and by extension, matter in general. Later, low-intensity experiments showed that even an individual electron, when passing through biprisms or slits, will interfere with itself, making the wave-like nature of the electron undeniable.
Even though an electron is not a wave, like light is a wave.
So it was shown that electrons act as both particles and waves, but not just electrons. Neutrons were also shown to exhibit diffraction patterns. It must be understood that since all particles are also waves, literally any object could hypothetically exhibit a diffraction pattern, so long as the object passes through an aperture roughly the size of the object's wavelength. But remember that massive objects have incredibly tiny
have like a
wavelengths.
fucking...
So for something like a human being to
Bruh, how are you gonna do this whole thing and not actually show the fucking animation? Stupid. There we go. 13 seconds. That's all we fucking needed. So we have, the light goes through the slits, and because it's a wave, it ends up looking like that on the back. But you would expect that if it was not a wave, but a single particle going through, then it would go through and and so it would go through. It would either be blocked by the wall, or it would go through and be in a single line. Like all the light that came here would be blocked. All light here, or sorry, the particles here would be blocked. And so all the particles that go through, you would expect a straight line of them. Same thing over here, block. But this is open, so it goes through, and you would expect a single point. But when you have a single electron, it still behaves this way. It still goes through, and you have the blocker. And then even though it's a particle, it acts as a wave, and then you get all the lines on the back, even though it was one single particle. There you go. All right, guys. So if you didn't hear me before, I have a fucking 8 a.m. client, and mornings aren't good for me, and I don't care that you wake up super early every day. Good for you. I don't know how to do that, and so I am gonna go to sleep. Big shout out to all of the donations. We had Avery, TV Viewerski, and our sponsor of the stream, Bucksy Boy. Thank you so very much. And good advice. Vote gooder. I'm trying to keep my wits about me and understand that this is the slowest period in a 4-year cycle for political channels. Once the midterms are over and primary season starts, holy shit. We have so much that we'll be able to talk about. So big shout out to all the real ones here. 51 seconds. I got you for 51 seconds.
Okay, and here is a very simple double slit experiment you can do at home. Here I just have a simple laser taped to the table, hitting a small double slit that I cut into that piece of paper using a sharp blade. The slit was probably 0.5 millimeter apart, and I darkened the paper as well to let less light through around the slit. Okay, as it comes out the other side, you can see the light is starting to move vertically, and the further away we get, the more clear the interference pattern is.
Crazy.
That's it.
That's it. How isn't this on right now? How is this? Should it be race-based reparations? Why does this say 4 days ago if it's happening right now?
Put in. Go ahead. What is the number one?
Weird. But we're gonna add that to we'll put it on the watch later. And we're going to get into it. All right, guys. Thank you so very, very much for hanging out. Appreciate you guys to know. And yes, indeed, both a wave and a particle. Thank you once again, guys. This is the Overlord Morty, and I have been your host, Lutch, aka the Indian Jesus, here to resurrect the second coming of Common Sense. Until next time, guys, we are out of here. Peace.